place to come on a Sunday afternoon is out of the heat, into the AC, into Marlins Park. Miami and San Diego, Hyundai presenting a Sunday of baseball. And there's a variety of people that are coming. You got lots of kids, lots of dogs, and lots of fans here. It's Bark at the Park. It's a kids' Sunday, big parade of baseball teams. Refreshments being served, all of that. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Thanks for making Sunday with us part of your day. For the Marlins, the news not so good after last night's win. Logan Morrison's been placed on the disabled list. The question is, Tommy, it's a 15-day DL. It's the knee. How long will he be on?
You know what, Rich? Somehow in the back of your mind, you had the feeling there just wasn't something right with Logan Morrison, the way he was swinging the bat. Just the All-Star break, Lomo, no home runs, no RBIs, had just one extra base hit. And that's not Logan Morrison hitting 230. So you just had the feeling that that knee wasn't right. He goes on the DL. To replace his spot, Ryan Webb is called up, but that doesn't replace offense. So it's really going to put more pressure on an offense that's already been sputtering a lot lately.
And the starter in this ball game is Josh Johnson. He's really done a nice job of ignoring all the trade talk. It sounds like the Marlins, if they are going to deal him, it would take a flotilla of top prospects, which is not very likely to happen. However, the question for Johnson is, can that finger hold up? The cut that he developed in that brilliant effort against the Braves cut him short.
I'll tell you what, against the Braves, it was his best start of the year without question. In his 6 innings, gave up just one base hit, no walks, no runs, had 9 strikeouts. We were told the small cut on the side of the nail in the finger, everything was fine. He was able to take his normal in-between start work. It was backed up a day because of the off day. That helped. But everything is fine, so I would expect to see the same from JJ. But I think one of the keys is to look at his curveball today, because that's where maybe sometimes that finger is affected. So we'll watch that pitch today.
Lots of lefty bats in there for the Padres. Clayton Richard is a lefty for the Padres. That means a lot of right-handed bats, though Ozzie Guillen doesn't have a whole lot of options right now with his lineup.
No, he's one man short, so not a whole lot of choices. Clayton Richard went 7 innings against the Marlins in San Diego, gave up 3 runs in his 7 innings.
All right, ready to go on a Kids Sunday. Bark at the Park. Niners Nuggets when we get back. Marlins and Padres trying to decide this 3-game series.
Nuggets. Today you're going to look at a couple plays of the game that people can watch for too. Just little parts of the game that are important that sometimes go unnoticed. And first you're going to start with Justin Ruggiano.
Yeah, Justin Ruggiano in center field, just to illustrate the enormous outfield that the Marlins Park has. Here's a ball that's hitting the left center field gap. Look at how much distance he covers to get this ball. Little communication problem almost there with Logan Morris, but takes that ball. Next, almost the next inning, look at all the ground he has to cover to his left coming in on this ball right here. I'm telling you, good center fielders love Marlins outfield because of the distance they have to cover. These guys like to run. They like to cover the distance, and we've seen some great outfielders. Bernardina, in particular, from Washington, loves playing this outfield.
You always deferring to the center fielder if you're a corner outfielder?
He is the captain out there. You always listen for him first. You never call the ball. You wait for him to call you off.
Nugget number 2, contact play. Sometimes misinterpreted by fans who think, hey, the guy's throwing out the plate. It's a bad play. Take us through it.
It's really not. Second and third, you see a ground ball here. The runner at third base is going on contact. That means he's going as soon as the ball's hit. So you're caught. You know you're caught. You're trying to get into a rundown. He does a great job here of avoiding the tag. Why are you getting all this time? To let that batter who hit that ground ball get to second base. Now you've got the exact same situation. Cameron Maben does a good job here of recognizing that. You've got the exact same situation as you had before. Second and third.
Right.
Runners in scoring position, getting ready for a base hit that would also score 2.
Now, if you're going to say, hey, the ball's right at the third baseman, don't run. Well, remember that guy from second's coming. And it's contact, right? Because one little bobble and you score.
And you never know exactly. You got a bobble or bad throw, you're going to score that run, and then you're still going to have another guy in scoring position behind you.
Happened with Buck the other night. Same thing. It was a good baseball play. And although Buck got thrown out the plate, the runners were able to move up. Okay, we're ready for baseball. Game 3 of the series. Can the Marlins win the series? They're looking for their first series win since late June into July. We'll have it for you next year in the postgame.
Johnson on the hill, and JJ in start number 21 of the season. You see the ERA has come down. He did not have the best of starts to the year, and he fires as Pinchapenny brings you the first pitch. Alex Amarista, Mark Kotze, Chase Headley for the Padres. Bud Black has got all lefty bats in there with left-handed hitters and a switch hitter or two sprinkled in. Amarista got a start at second base last night. He's at shortstop for this one with Logan Forsythe playing second for the Padres. Amarista, the diminutive Venezuelan, very good glove and surprising pop for his stature. They really like this guy. This was a trade in early May in which the Padres got Amarista, and they gave up Ernesto Frieri, who has had an all-star season in the bullpen for the Angels.
Yeah, right-handed pitcher needed in that bullpen for the Angels.
JJ throwing free and easy. The count's 3-2.
Yeah, after falling behind, he's poured in a couple of nice fastballs to get it to a full count.
And with a fastball, he strikes out Amarista. Here come the Padres. Amarista followed by Mark Kotze. Chase Headley hits third. Carlos Quentin in the cleanup spot. Yonder Alonso is at first base. Will Venable in center. John Baker will do the catching with Yasmani Grandal getting the day off. Logan Forsythe hits 8th. Clayton Richard hits 9th. And here is Kotze. He made a special guest appearance last night as a pinch hitter. Ended the game with a pop-up into shallow left field. Kotze, the former Marlin, and a veteran presence on the Padre bench. Couple of hops. Lee is over. Johnson gets to the bag. Nice job on the 3-1 put out. A very nice segue to the Marlins defense.
And brought to you by Cleveland Clinic, Florida, with Donovan Solano, Ruggiano, and Kearns in the outfield. Donnie Murphy gets the start at third. Reyes and Bonifacio up the middle. El Caballos at first, and Brett Hayes is behind the plate.
Chase Headley now. Headley, the third baseman for the Padres, and a guy whose name has been thrown out there with, what, 2 days left for the trading deadline, the non-waiver trading deadline.
Yeah, what is it, 4 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday, I believe?
We will be on a bus on our way to Turner Field. Here's the 2-0. Tommy, if they stop the bus and the bus driver turns around and looks at us and says,
and wants us to get off,
you two out.
There's a phone call for you guys.
Yeah, we have been designated for assignment. New Orleans, Jacksonville, we'll go anywhere. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and it's out. The likelihood that Josh Johnson is going anywhere seems diminished from the fever pitch of last week. The 3-1. And it's a fastball for a strike. By all reports, teams that called to inquire for Johnson, the Marlins have said, interested only if you'll send a boatload of top prospects Miami's way. Misses with the fastball, and so he walks Headley. That brings up Carlos Quentin. Quentin getting the start in left field. Carlos Quentin, a guy that the Padres extended for 3 years with a 4th-year option. The change of ownership is occurring as we speak. Many feel that by the end of August, the new owners will be in place in San Diego. But the Padres general manager, Jed Hoyer, has been busy, and they extended Quentin, the former White Sox, to a 3, possibly a 4-year deal. And today they announced that Houston Street, their closer, their all-star closer, has been signed to a 2-year contract extension. So the Padres are starting to lock a few guys up. They still have a very young nucleus. Quentin takes a fastball up and in. Here's the extension. It's reportedly for $14 million for 2 years. Club option for 2015. He's been dynamite, and you can see that the Padres haven't put him in a position to save a lot of games because their record right now 43-59.
Well, he's struck out 39 in his 29 innings. Opponents hitting 112 against Houston Street.
There's Bud Black. Black guiding his ball club 2 years ago to a 90-win season, but came up just a few games shy to the eventual world champion Giants, and then a total rebuilding effort with a youth movement last year, 71 and 91, and the same this year. Very young. They made the big trade, sending Matt Latos to Cincinnati, getting some really good pieces there. A starting pitcher in Edinson Volquez, and the 2 Miami kids, Yasmani Grandal and Yonder Alonso.
I think the Padres, Rich, are going to have to be wise, and they've shown that over the last couple of years, wise in their development and then wise in trades, because it's really hard for them to sign free agent hitters because of Petco Park. It's a tough ballpark to hit in. There are some rumors going around they may bring right field in a little bit next year.
Runner on the move, and that one fouled back to the screen. Headley was on the run. And talking to guys like John Baker and Houston Street, they'll tell you that they feel, guys that have been in the game and around the game, that the Padres are headed in the right direction. It's a good young core.
Look at the it's a good example there. Carlos Quentin on the road, and if you look at their splits, a lot of their hitters, most of their hitters, that's the way they look. Better on the road than at home.
Little tapper, and it's not that Petco Park is so spacious. It's not really that much bigger than a lot of parks. It's just that the ball with that marine air does not carry in San Diego. Very similar to San Francisco, very similar to Seattle.
Now, on the other hand, if you're a free agent pitcher, wonderful place to go.
Sign me up. Quentin steps out. Quentin ready, the 1-2. Runner on the move, and a stolen base as Headley takes second. Brett Hayes, a breaking ball in the dirt, tough pitch to throw on. They count 2-2 to Carlos Quentin. Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen ballparks that were built at the extreme in terms of distance, bring fences in. Detroit, probably the best example of that.
Citi Field.
We've seen Citizens Bank Park bring the fence back in left field a bit. Kearns is under it, and Josh Johnson works a rather uneventful first inning, which is a good thing for the Fish. It's scoreless. The park day here at Marlins Park. Smile pretty for the camera there. Fido, Emilio Bonifacio, Donovan Solano, and Jose Reyes against big Clayton Richard, the left-hander out of the University of Michigan, former backup quarterback and a fourth-year starter for the San Diego Padres.
He has certainly been a workhorse, second in the National League in innings, but he has struggled over his last 4 starts.
He didn't struggle with Emilio Bonifacio. 93-mile-an-hour fastball with some tail on it. Here's the Marlins lineup. Marlins have had trouble hitting left-handers this year. Donovan Solano is in left. Jose Reyes is short. Carlos Lee at first. Justin Ruggiano in center. Austin Kearns in right. Donnie Murphy getting a start at third base. Brett Hayes behind the plate. Josh Johnson hits ninth. If you haven't heard, Logan Morrison's been placed on the 15-day disabled list with soreness in his knee. He will be evaluated, and the Marlins will determine the course of rehab from that point. Right now, if you're Ozzie Guillen, you're looking at your lineup, and you've just lost 3 regulars in the last week, from Omar Infante to Hanley Ramirez, a roller up the middle. Amarista bounces it. Nice play by Yonder Alonso at first base. Defensively, here are the Padres.
And the defense brought to you by Cleveland Clinic with Quentin, Venable, and Kotze in the outfield. Up the middle, Amarista and Forsythe. Alonso with a nice pick on that low throw from Amarista. Headley at third. And John Baker, good old friend behind the plate. Yeah, I think one of the reasons, Rich, the Marlins have struggled, even though overall they're 17-14 against lefty starters. But 2 of their switch hitters, Bonifacio and Reyes, have not hit lefties as well. Reyes hitting .228 against lefties.
Reyes fouls it. You're right. I mean, Bonifacio hasn't done it. Reyes hasn't done it. Carlos Lee is under 200 against left-handed hitters this year.
Austin Kearns hitting .197 against lefties.
You wouldn't think that. Justin Ruggiano, though, has clobbered lefties. He's well over 400. Reyes chops that one. Diving stop by Alonso, and his backhand in time to get Reyes. An 8-pitch inning by Clayton Richard with some help from his buddy Yonder Alonso. Now that was a terrific play. Those two part of the energy team, and apparently they have a lot of it on this Sunday afternoon. Coventry Healthcare second inning. And here's Josh Johnson back to work. Yonder Alonso, Will Venable, and John Baker. Alonso, 2 more hits yesterday against Miami, and they were both doubles, so he's got 25 doubles on the season. And he's close to a 500 hitter against the Marlins now in his career. Breaking ball for a strike. Leads the Padres in doubles, and that's I think we talked about Petco Park in the first inning and the effect it has on hitters. Guys like Alonso and Grandal, who are gap hitters, guys that can drive it in the gaps. Those are the type of hitters that you need. Those are the type of hitters that will have success there. The line drive guys.
Fastball up. So Brett Hayes put the target up there. Yeah, you have to have the mindset. I think you have to same thing here in being that gap line drive hitter.
Change up and a swing and a miss. And down goes Alonso. So Will Venable comes up. The next Coors Light Marlins watch party is coming up on a Tuesday at Catch of the Day Seafood Bar and Grill at Dolphin Mall. We'll be in Atlanta with the Braves at 7:10. That's, of course, trading deadline night. We'll have to have Ken Rosenthal on there. Maybe Ken Rosenthal can go to the watch party. Billy and the Energy team will be there.
And if he can't, Billy will be wearing a bow tie.
Take advantage of specials on Coors Light aluminum pints during the game. Maybe Bob the Shark will make a special guest appearance.
Hey, by the way, Tuesday night, it's going to be Ricky Nolasco and Chris Medlin. Remember, Medlin pitched well out of the bullpen for the Braves. They have taken Jair Jurgens out of the rotation, so Medlin's going to take his place.
Speaking of rotations, the move that the Marlins made today in bringing up Ryan Webb to replace Logan Morrison leads you to believe that maybe the Marlins have an adjustment to make in their rotation, because they've added a bullpen arm, of which they have plenty, and whether that means bringing Wade LeBlanc from the pen into the rotation, whether that means Jacob Turner comes up and makes a start, as the Marlins had that doubleheader on Friday. That has yet to be determined. But as you pointed out, the Marlins need offense. They could use a bat someplace. 3-2 pitch. Boy, good downward tilt. Fastball. Johnson has 3 strikeouts.
Early on in watching JJ, some good movement and good velocity on the fastball. Now you kind of get a feel. He's thrown a couple of breaking balls. He threw a good changeup to strike out Alonso. So trying to pick up where he left off in his last start.
All right, here's Bake, John Baker. Marlins saw him in San Diego. Bake a tapper out toward short. Reyes rifles it to first. And Baker is out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Padres. At the plate with that ground out. Earlier in the series, we had a chance to ask Bake what he thinks of Marlins Park.
I love it. Love it. After playing in Dolphin Stadium, whatever you want to call it, Sun Life Stadium, coming here and sitting here in this air conditioning with this great atmosphere. I was unsure of that home run thing, but I think it fits the city. It fits the ballpark just as much as the Sea Creature race fits this ballpark and the aquarium. And I have to say, I think they did everything right. And in the style of Miami, it's beautiful. A great place to be.
John Baker. Anxious to hear John Baker's ultimate fighting handicaps on the big fights that I know you've been keeping a close eye on.
He certainly came well prepared too with his scouting report.
Next Saturday, August 4th on Fox. Carlos Lee now, Justin Ruggiano, Austin Kearns. Richard is a fastball throwing lefty. He's not a soft tosser. He gets a strike there, and it's 1-1. Lee just has yet to get going against left-handed pitching, and you would think with a right-handed bat, a veteran right-handed bat, a run producer, that he would have enormous numbers against lefties. 169. And that's his totals from Houston and from Miami. Forsythe goes and gets a good hop and throws him out. So there's one out here in the second. What do we know about Clayton Richard?
Well, we're going to find out a little bit more about him. He works fast. We've seen that. Aggressive in the strike zone. Very good pickoff move. And that scouting report brought to you by Coventry Healthcare. And you mentioned out of the University of Michigan.
Now Ruggiano. So Ruggiano is the guy in the lineup that has absolutely crushed lefties. Ruggiano has done quite well against righties too, and he takes that one outside. Justin against lefties, 429, 4 homers. Against righties, 308, 4 homers. He homered last night, and Richard misses down low. There are the splits. Ozzie Guillen putting the lineup up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did it with a little bit of duct tape, maybe some glue. Ruggiano on his way down to first. You lose 3
couple of staples.
You lose 3 everyday players, guys like Infante, Hanley Ramirez, and Logan Morrison, and all of a sudden you have to empty your bench into the starting lineup, which means you don't have much bench left.
Well, and with Ryan Webb coming up replacing Logan Morrison, that also gives you just four men on the bench. One of those John Buck, so you have to be careful with him. He's your only other catcher.
You have to be careful with Richard, as you pointed out. He's got the good move, and that looked like the A move right out of the chute, with that lean towards the plate and step right between the plate and first base. Gets a strike on Kearns. Kearns, another guy, Tommy, that you would think, just having watched him over the course of the season, that, yeah, he's really hit lefties well, because he'll get an occasional start against lefties. But he is not. His average against lefties is under 200.
That is a good move, by the way. It almost appears that Clayton Richard is stepping toward the dugout, first base dugout. And then he throws over to first.
Line into center field. That's a base hit. Kearns. Ruggiano will stop at second. And so a walk and a single. Now here's the wild card in the lineup for Miami, and that's Donnie Murphy. And a month ago you would have said, well, he's really struggling. But Murphy went down to AAA and absolutely tore it up in AAA. And so it'll be interesting to see if Murphy gets starts, and he obviously is getting one today, if he can continue some of that hot swinging.
He would love to. I know that. I mean, in 33 games in AAA, he hit over 300, had 13 home runs. So he earned his way back.
There is Morrison. Morrison telling the press that if after some rest the knee does not respond, surgery is an option.
You know, you almost have the feeling that if that is the case, get it done now, get it out of the way, get your rehab ready, have a great winter of rehabbing the knee, come to spring training 100% and get yourself 40 or 50 ABs in the spring.
That was one of the biggest challenges for Guillen and his staff, is he didn't have a healthy Morrison, he didn't have a healthy Stanton in spring training, and their lack of spring training at bats seemed to affect both of them right out of the chute. Murphy swings and misses.
And if he has to, Logan Morrison's going to have to shut down any goodwill trips and concentrate on getting his knee healthy to play.
The 2-1. Murphy fouls it back and out of play. Miami's win last night brought them to 46-54. The Marlins would like to climb within 7 games of the 500 mark before they set out on what's going to be a tough trip. You've got the Braves, who are playing well, for 4. You've got the first place Nationals, 4 in D.C. And then it's on to New York to play the Mets. 2-2. Murphy, a grounder up the middle. Forsythe, Amarista, and that's a double play. And the Marlins' second fizzles. Scoreless in Miami.
Furry guest here. This is Pepe Sal, absolutely adorable. He's rocking the Marlins handkerchief and everything, and he has had a very busy day here at Marlins Park. He is the face of the Pet Trust Fund, which we're going to find out in just a minute. But first, Rita, tell me about Pepe Sal and how he became the face of the Pet Trust Fund.
Well, Pepe Sal is named after our 2 commissioners, Commissioner Diaz and Sally Heyman, for sponsoring the Pets Trust bill. We rescued Pepe Sal from the steps of the government building right before we came in to find out that all 13 commissioners supported the Pets Trust unanimously. It will be on the November 6th ballot. And a homeless man was selling him right outside the steps. So Friends River rescued Pepe Sal, and he's now our mascot.
He is the sweetest thing ever, and he is a little tired because he has had a very busy day. What has he been up to, Michael?
Well, he started taking pictures on the field early this morning about 9 o'clock, and then with Mark and Jamie Burley, took pictures with him, and then Billy the Martin. He threw out the first pitch today. He's been pretty busy.
And what is the Pet Trust bill?
The Pets Trust is a solution to the 20,000 dogs and cats that we kill every year in Dade County. It's been going on for over 25 years. Every single day, we kill 60 to 70 perfectly healthy and adoptable animals. And no matter what we've done, we don't get to the root of the problem, which is spay and neutering. And we can't do enough surgeries to solve it. So we're going to create 2 clinics that can do 50 or 60,000 surgeries a year with the funds that come from the Pets Trust. It's a dedicated source of funding, an investment from the community in our animals.
Well, that is just terrific. It's such a great cause, and I know guys like Pepe here certainly appreciate all you guys do.
On November 6th, we need you to vote yes, that you would support saving these animals. We need the community to step up and vote yes.
All right. Michael, Rita, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Pepe. He's trying to go to sleep here. I'll let you get your nap now. Look at that face. All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Allison. That sounds like a baseball name, like a shortstop. The new shortstop is been called up by the Marlins. Pepe Sal.
Yeah, out of the Dominican, perhaps.
Yep.
You know, Mark and Jamie Burley very involved in the adoption of pets, and they were out here doing some PSAs at the time.
First time through the order for Josh Johnson. 4 strikeouts, a walk, and the leadoff man Amarista is up with 2 outs. He checked his swing. The count's 1-0. Though coming off his last start, Johnson, who was very good, but of course had his start ended after 6 innings, he really has picked up where he's left off.
I'll tell you what, the Padres are seeing a different Josh Johnson than they saw back in San Diego. That was a game JJ just went 2 2/3 and gave up 6 hits and 6 runs. Marlins came back and won that game, but this is a much different JJ they're seeing.
He's gone 3-0 to Amarista.
He went 3-0 to Amarista the first time up, and they came back and threw 3 straight fastballs to strike him out.
Amarista fouls it back along the screen. So 6 scoreless with just 1 hit against Atlanta. And this almost feels like the same game. And that JJ has, just picked it up where he left off, because now he's at 8 scoreless innings with just the 1 hit. But he loses Amarista, 2nd walk by Johnson, and he'll face Mark Kotsay now. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. Counts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Kotsay getting ready to stand in. Oakland has acquired George Kataris, catcher, for a minor leaguer to the Athletics, who right now are the best team in July. They've had an incredible run.
Oakland, I believe, 18-3 in the month of July.
And I'm telling you, we discussed this last week. Manager of the year, Bob Melvin has to be considered for that. There's all the scouts watching Josh Johnson. Maybe a few here to watch Carlos Lee as well, and a guy like Chase Headley. Kotsay may be someone that a team goes after and tries to pick up. Hits that one well. It's into the corner. Amarista's got great speed. After it is Kearns. Amarista is flying around third, on his way to the plate, and he scores. And Mark Kotsay has given San Diego a 1-0 lead.
Boy, just like that, a 2-out walk, you have to pay the price. Looked like something off speed. Maybe the changeup. And you're right about Amarista. Once that ball got in the right field corner, he was flying around third. Kotsay was able to stay back on that 88-mile-an-hour changeup.
Now Chase Headley, he walked back in the first. There's the big curveball for a strike.
But with that one swing, the Padres get their first hit and their first run.
Cholula Hot Sauce Spotlight. Valedictorian and academic All-American at Fountain Fort Carson High School. University of the Pacific, where he played a couple seasons, then transferred to the University of Tennessee. University of the Pacific is in Stockton, California.
You're talking about American League Manager of the Year. Right now, you peruse the teams. Bob Melvin pretty much a lock.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. And I know Billy Beane has done a nice job of mixing, matching, and finding some hidden gems there. But in all the national articles about the Athletics, I haven't seen Bob Melvin's name even mentioned. It's all been about Beane. There's the West. Look at Oakland. 3.5 back and 10 over. Jammed him. Better hurry. Reyes bare hands. Safe at first. And Carlos Lee makes sure he smothers the ball. Headley runs well.
Boy, that was a chancy play by Jose Reyes, because this ball had a lot of spin. And by reaching down to barehand it to try to make the play, if that ball gets by him and through, another run scores. So a good play. He was able to grab it, but a tough play. Just couldn't make the out at first.
And so Josh Johnson, who was rolling along, now has Carlos Quentin with 2 outs and runners at the corners. Another slow roller. Reyes just in time with Bonifacio there to get the out. Padres get the first run of the ball game and lead at 1-0. Efficiency Drive sales event by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By Toyota, visit your local Toyota dealer today for great deals on Toyota vehicles. Toyota, moving forward. And by Bluebell Ice Creamery. Try our newest flavor, strawberry summer pie. So there you have it. It's, I guess what? National Ice Cream Month. This month, Brett Hayes takes outside.
Everybody always wants to know your favorite. What's your favorite ice cream, Rich?
Probably go with the mocha almond fudge. Here's the 1-1.
Mine would be Rocky Road.
Brett Hayes fouls it back. Hayes, Josh Johnson, Emilio Bonifacio. Bottom 3, 1-0. Padres on top. Josh Johnson looked sharp until Mark Kotze hooked one into the corner to drive in a run. Clayton Richard has given up a hit and a walk. But the Marlins' second inning died on a Donnie Murphy double play ground ball. And Hayes flips it foul and out of play. Brett Hayes really trying to get going. It's been a struggle for Hayes. We were talking about numbers against left-handed pitching, and Hayes against lefties. He's hitting just 125. He's 3 of 24.
Yeah, he's coming off a tough start. His last start was against Atlanta. 0 for 4, struck out 4 times. So just trying to get a little bit on track. Just 2 RBIs all year.
Richard backs him off, and it's 3-2. Papa John's bringing you Fox Tracks on this Sunday in Miami as Clayton Richard delivers. Hayes up the middle into center field. That's a base hit,
and that's good to see.
Go leadoff hit. Here comes JJ, and here comes Craig Minervini. Craig?
Thanks, Rich. You heard John Baker talking before how he loves Marlins Park, but one thing he says he has learned to underestimate when he looks back at last year and his time in Miami is the weather here. He said the hot weather really got him loose, his body loose for the game, and he said he knows the adjustment now in San Diego where the weather's as good as anywhere, but at night it does get cool. He says much tougher to get your body ready for the game, and he remarked that Eduardo Perez last year, he had him turn off the air conditioning in the hitting cages so the guys get looser a little bit. He said never thought about that really much until this year in the cooler weather back in his home state of California. Rich, Tommy?
All right, thank you, Craig. Josh Johnson at the plate looking to push Brett Hayes in his scoring position. And it's a strike. And now it's 0-2. Fastball up. Clayton Richard, a backup quarterback at Michigan. 04-05. His last time out, he was knocked around pretty good by the Giants. Lost the ball game 7-1. And JJ cannot bunt. And so that's a strikeout. Hayes still at first. Here comes Bonifacio. Corona Light wants you to find your beach with the Miami Marlins. They're offering 31 lucky Marlin fans the chance to win 4 tickets and a $100 Marlin merchandise gift card. Visit your local participating Navarro pharmacy and look for the Corona Light display on details how to enter and win. Relax responsibly.
A couple of guys pitching today that had shoulder issues last year. Of course, JJ didn't have surgery, but Clayton Richard had just 18 starts last year, and then right toward the end of July had shoulder surgery.
Bonifacio off of Richard, who picks it up and throws him out. Not sure if that ball turns into a double play if it gets through the box or if it gets into center field.
Would have been close. Don't know. Good reactions by Richard to once he knocked it down off that left leg, it looked like.
See, there's an interesting dynamic here. This is what happens, I think, when your manager is a pitcher. Clayton Richard got that ball off his shin. Normally, I mean, protocol is you get the manager, a trainer, and the pitching coach all come out just to make sure he's okay. Bud Black just looked out there. Richard just shook his head, and Bud Black said, all right.
He's okay.
I believe you. I've been there.
Yeah, sometimes I think it's overkill.
Solano now with Hayes at second. And Clayton Richard elevates the fastball. Marlins are not getting good swings against this lefty. He almost has a slinging type motion, but guys that do that don't usually throw in the mid-90s.
Yeah, and we take very similar like we talked about with Steve Cishek. A little different delivery, but yeah, you're right.
0-2 pitch. There's that 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Richard, in his last 4 starts, he's gone 1-3 with an ERA of over 6. So pitching much better than the numbers indicate over his last 4 starts.
Good battle here. Richards just pounding high velocity fastballs in the zone, and Solano digging in, trying to hang in there. Look at the Fox tracks, very consistent, and they're trying to elevate it right now against Solano. Outfield playing Solano to right center. They don't think he can pull this lefty. And that was a wild pitch, and Hayes alertly on his way to third. That didn't even give John Baker a chance. When that thing bounces 10 feet in front of the plate, all bets are off.
Yeah, that was also something other than a fastball, so you're almost sure he's going to come back with that fastball. Hayes a catcher, so he knows the drill. When the ball gets out in front of the catcher that far, he knows he's going to make it over to third.
So he's 90 feet away, a 1-0 San Diego lead, and the count's 1-2. On Solano, you'd expect another fastball after that breaking ball bounced. Though he misses low with this one. 2-2. Outside.
Tried that changeup again.
Reyes waits. Let's see if Solano gets the fastball on 3-2.
You would have to think so, which he did. You'd have to believe that Richard would rather go after Solano than have to go after Jose Reyes.
Another 3-2. And another foul ball. So a 9-pitch at bat so far. Solano has shown that he's able to work the count. It's a real test for a guy like Solano, for Donnie Murphy, for guys that are role players to be thrust into an everyday lineup. So 10 pitches now. Number 11 is coming. On one hand, it's a real opportunity for a guy like Solano. On the other hand, it's also a major challenge. The 3-2 again. That one backs Headley up, throws across, and tell you what, Yonder Alonso can pick it at first. He's had a couple of real nice plays today. player to pitch in a game. Well, we had Jason, just in my time here, Jason Wood, Cody Ross, Brian Peterson. Am I missing anyone?
I'm going to throw out a John Cangelosi.
Okay. That was before my time.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean, you could, if you had to start guessing, maybe a Kurt Abbott.
Ross Glode. John Sulser, our producer, tossing Glode's name in there. Yonder Alonso, Will Venable, John Baker in the fourth. Solano's out in left field, and he makes that play. I hope that's not a, sometimes the trivia question is meant to foreshadow the storyline of the game. I'm hopeful that that's not the case.
Well, that's usually a game where there are a whole lot of runs scored. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. Hey, you made a comment talking about Donovan Solano when he was up there batting about answering the call, and it seems like every time he's been asked to do something, play left field. We saw him make his major league debut as a left fielder, play some third, which is probably not his most natural infield position. Pinch hit.
Wouldn't you agree, though, that all of those things that you just described are very different than play every day?
Without question. Without question.
Play every day against frontline pitching.
And I think Solano right now he's probably auditioning for a guy who could be a very good utility player.
And, here's the thing. You can become a very good utility player and work your way into an everyday player. The Marlins have a guy like that playing second base today, Emilio Bonifacio. Bonifacio was essentially a utility guy. Remember when the Marlins slotted him at third base? I believe it was the start of the 2009 season, and it didn't go so well, and he went back to being a super utility guy.
And I think even before he became a Marlin, there were those who thought that's what he was going to be, a utility guy.
Arizona and Washington, his two other clubs.
Do you think Solano has gotten his own outfield glove yet?
Not sure. He was borrowing.
That looks pretty good, though. That looks pretty new.
He was borrowing Bonifacio's, right?
Yeah. That looks pretty new, though.
Bonnie has one of just about every glove. And he's in a spot that, Chris Coughlin was in a few years ago when the Marlins called him up and threw him out there. He'd never played in the outfield. At least Bonifacio, when he went back and played winter ball in the Dominican, Bonifacio always used to play right field. But of course, his natural position is second base. He can play shortstop, third base, and any of the outfield spots. He's very good in center with the speed that he's got. This never feels good. That one off the shin of Will Venable. Have swings and bat speed increased and changed so much in 25, 30 years that we see a lot more of that? Because you didn't used to see a lot of, you used to see guys hit it off their foot, but you didn't see guys pull it off their knee, pull it off their shin.
You're right, and obviously things have changed a little bit because you do see more of that. Thin-handled bats. Guys probably have a little quicker bat speed because of the makeup of the bats.
Major league hitters today, as opposed to 15, 20 years ago, are using lighter bats, thinner handles. Just missed. Allison Williams, what's up?
All right, guys, I got more dogs for you here, and I have to say, for Bark at the Park, there are some very well-dressed pups here. First of all, this is Willie and his owner, Megan. What is Willie wearing?
A homemade hat and a homemade t-shirt.
This was this is the old school. He's rocking the teal, the old school, and this was actually a baby's outfit.
Yes, we converted it.
And a homemade baseball hat, so he's got the cap at all. Also very well dressed in the updated, the new Miami Marlins gear is Pepper with his owner, Hema. And you have to outfit your dog, right? Like, you can't just get your shirt, you got to dress the dog as well, right?
That's right. I got her a matching shirt.
And has Hema, have you brought your dog to bark at the park before?
No, this is my first time.
How's he enjoying it?
We're having a great time.
Oh, good. A lot of very well-dressed dogs. I will chat with some more of them, including one, guys. I've spotted one with an orange mohawk, so I think that will be the next one I have to inquire about. Guys.
Allison, have you found the dachshunds with the helmets on?
I know your favorite, Rich. I saw them earlier, so I will definitely stop by and say hello. I think there are a few sections down, but they've got the baseball cap helmets on.
Turn over your right shoulder. See the two dogs over your right shoulder? They have their own seats.
Yeah,
yes.
All the dogs look very well behaved, too, Allison.
They are. It's been kind of quiet. Not a whole lot of barking for bark at the park so far. A lot of good boys and girls.
Look at it.
Good doggies.
Those dogs have seat 4 and 5, and they're watching the ball game.
Yeah, I think they're keeping score, too.
It's nice. One just said to the other, hey, you know what? We're on TV. See, dogs behave better than people. Most people behind you would be waving their hands.
Act like animals.
Yeah. The runner goes. Baker, a hit and run, and it gets under Reyes' glove and into center field. Ruggiano picks it up, and the Padres are set at the corners. Bud Black putting the game in motion, and Baker hit it hard. Reyes trying to do a couple things at the same time.
Boy, and things worked out perfectly for the Marlins with Reyes going to cover. He's right there to pick it, step on the bag, and get a double play. Ground ball gets under his glove, and all of a sudden first and third with one out, when in fact it could have been a 6-3 double play.
Now Forsythe, and he takes a strike.
Big hitter right here, a big key, because with one out, you want to get this man. If you can get by Logan Forsythe, you've got Clayton Richard, who struck out his last time up.
It's going to be an error on Jose Reyes. Baker's at first. Venable across the diamond. And where Josh Johnson has worked himself into trouble, it's been a walk. Remember, it was a 2-out walk to Amarista, and the 1-out walk to Venable that has opened the door for this inning. Forsythe takes that fastball up and in. 2-1.
I would say the only difference, or one of the differences, in Josh today compared to that outing against the Braves, we haven't seen as many 93s and 4s with the fastball. And maybe the command of the other stuff not quite the same, but still pitching well. And he's had some high pitch innings, so consequently the total up to 71.
Well, he walked him, and so now the pitcher Richard comes up. The bags are filled with Padres. And it will be interesting to see how the Marlins defend this. Richard, a strikeout victim in his first at bat. He's a career 113 hitter.
Boy, 4 walks for Josh Johnson today.
Middle infield's going to play back. Corners are even. And Richard hits a fly ball to center, and that should be deep enough to score the run. Venable tagging. Making the catch is Ruggiano. The throw goes into third, and the Padres get a big boost. They get a sacrifice fly from their pitcher, Clayton Richard. The walk and the error set the inning in motion, and now Richard with a sacrifice fly. Both runs that have scored have been walks from Josh Johnson.
Yeah, the Padres even getting the little things done by their pitcher, with Richard picking up that RBI. That's his 6th RBI this year.
2-0 ball game, and here is Amarista. And he fouls it back.
The 4 walks, Rich, by the way, ties a season high for JJ. 6 RBIs for Clayton Richard. That leads National League pitchers. So he's helped himself many times.
Maybe he'll be in the running for that Silver Slugger. Though I would expect home runs and batting average are probably a little more accountable and worth more in the Silver Slugging ratings for pitchers.
An award that Carlos Zambrano has won. He's been an all-star. He's won the Silver Slugger Award. Look at that, 24 career home runs.
That one in the air to right. And Kearns is there and makes the catch, but an uneven inning for Josh Johnson. A couple walks, an error, a sac fly, and just like that, it's 2-0. Cars that deliver inspired performance. By Papa John's. Right now at Papa John's, buy any large pizza, even specialties, for only $12. And by Nissan. Get to Nissan for the biggest savings under the sun at Nissan's Summer Saving Days. Visit ChooseNissan.com. It's 2-0. We sit above Marlins Park here in our booth, and we are surrounded by talented people. One member of the crack staff that will be leaving us and heading to Orlando is one of our statisticians, Scott Hopkins. Scotty, good luck in Orlando, and hopefully we'll see you at either a Rays game, or if you want to come down for a series and rejoin the crack staff, you're always welcome here.
Well, he's been a huge part of the crack staff. Scott Hopkins started doing stats for Marlins baseball back in '96. So he
predates you.
He predates me. He's we've abused him so much over the last few years. He's decided to move to Orlando.
So he's leaving our family, but he gets to spend a lot more time with his family.
Absolutely.
Which is the important thing. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Reyes, a desperation swing, pokes it foul. The Marlins need to get something going against Clayton Richard, who now has a 2-0 lead. Miami had something in the second, a walk to Ruggiano, a single by Kearns, but Murphy ended the inning with a double play grounder. Reyes, Carlos Lee, and Ruggiano here, and Richard misses down low. With the loss of Logan Morrison, he's been placed on the disabled list with the knee discomfort. The trade of Infante, the trade of Hanley Ramirez. Marlins got to figure out a way to score runs. And of course, the reality was they weren't scoring runs with that trio in the lineup to begin with. Now it's maybe even a little more challenging to do so afterwards.
And Ozzie certainly knows Clayton Richard. In 08, 09, Richard was kind of a swing guy out of that White Sox pitching. Used some as a starter, some out of the bullpen.
Reyes, a one hopper. Amorista's throw is in time. All right, we threw a bunch of names out there, guys that at least that in the last 5-6 seasons we've seen pitch. Petey, Glode, Brian Wood.
I did throw out John Cangelosi.
Very nice. 97, and that was your first year.
Yeah, he had a nice easy inning. Over the years, the guys that I've seen have success doing that are the guys who have no expectations and just go out there and lob like easy BP fastballs up there.
So what happened to you in your inning of relief?
I had expectations.
Seriously? Delusions of
delusions of being a pitcher. Yeah.
Lee finds the gap in right center field, and Carlos Lee rumbling around first, headed to second. Katse picks it up, and Lee pulls in with a double, a one-out double, and Miami with a runner in scoring position.
You know, good news. All of a sudden, Carlos Lee's bat has come alive in this series. He has 5 hits now in 9 at bats, so 5 for 9 against the Padres, and he's had good swings. Hitting a lot of balls into right center. We've talked about it. Actually, Joe Espada, Marlins third base coach, talked about it a lot. Any ball hit in that right field gap, with the exception of Carlos Lee, for most guys is going to be a triple.
Now Ruggiano takes ball 1. Ruggiano walked back in the second. 3 hits now for Miami against Richard. And that changeup, a called strike. This was last night. Ruggiano got a breaking ball and lost it. Here's the 1-1. Saw Ruggiano flinch after that 1-0 pitch was called a strike. And the count now 2-1. And there it is. That's pitch number 2. That was called a strike. The other 2 are actually in the zone. Richard misses low, and it's 3-1 now. Of course, it's easy to sit up here and look at Fox Tracks and say that's a ball, that's a strike. Vic Carapazza has the hard job. He has to do it in real time, standing behind a catcher, looking through a mask. Larry Vanover, Toby Basner, and Wally Bell, so the umpiring crew here. Ruggiano to right, and that's going to send Katse back. Lee tags, and the big man's going to head towards third. Is he going to get there? He does. Oh my goodness, the ball hit Joe Espada. The throw hit Espada, and he is down. Joe Espada, the Marlins third base coach, hit by that throw. It may have been deflected by Chase Headley, the third baseman.
Yeah, he kind of got blocked out. Here comes the relay by the shortstop. I think Headley deflected it into another direction. You see backing up Clayton Richard. Let's see if Headley gets a piece of it. If he didn't get a piece of it, he really blocked out Joe Espada to get a good view. Yeah, all right, he's okay now.
See, Ozzy's been there. He's coached third base. He knows it. You never know. I mean, that may have been a break for the Padres because you never know if that throw bounces up and ends up in the seats and Lee scores. Now Kearns, as the Marlins try to get this run home, but they're 2 outs now in the inning. Kearns singled back in the second. Good changeup, 87 miles an hour.
Quickly, Richard has gotten ahead, 0-2.
He's been working out in front of most guys. He's had trouble with Ruggiano. He's fallen behind him twice. His home road split's telling, as we talked about Petco Park. His road ERA 4.52, his home ERA 3.71. So about a run difference.
You know, with Austin Kearns up there, one of the nice reports I read today is that Giancarlo expects to start some rehab games Wednesday up in Jupiter.
And is targeted August 10th as a return date. Kearns, a hard hit ground ball. Amarista makes a nice play, and the Marlins leave another runner in scoring position. We'll be back after this sports. It's on Kid Sunday. We have a Tommy's Tips segment. Tommy, what's your tip?
Well, we're talking about Carlos Lee, how he can go out of the strike zone with the best of them. That ball almost hit the plate, and he was able to go out, hit it enough to get a base hit. And then in another game, this one against the Braves, again, down, out over the plate. So most of the time you'll see pitchers try to bust him inside, yet now that he's swinging the bat a little bit better, we've seen him adjust to that.
Mark Kotsay hits the first pitch on the ground. Emilio Bonifacio makes the play.
And the other thing about Carlos Lee, we were talking about his struggles this year with his at-bats against left-handers, but in his career, and it's been a tremendous career, a .291 hitter against left-handers. So that's why it just didn't match what he's been doing against lefties this year.
If you're just tuning in, you're wondering how's Josh Johnson doing. Well, he's been sharp and then had moments where he can't find the plate. And he falls behind 2-0 to Chase Headley. A 2-out walk back in the third led to the first run. Mark Kotze's RBI double followed the walk to Amarista. In the fourth, Will Venable walked with 1 out. Jose Reyes, moving on a hit and run, failed to field a hard smash by John Baker that got under his glove. It was ruled an error, and it set that inning in motion. The Padres got the run home on Clayton Richards' sacrifice fly, the pitcher. And here again, after getting the first out, Josh Johnson walks Chase Headley.
Well, now he's established a season high with 5 walks in this game. And 2 of those walks have scored.
All right, Tommy Hunt, let's see what's going on around baseball. The 2 teams in the division playing right now, Atlanta and Philly. It is 3-0 Atlanta. Chipper Jones just homered. It's the bottom of the third. That's a Roy Halladay-Tim Hudson matchup. And Roy Halladay looks downright human right now. He's 2 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs. He's given up 2 homers. Jason Hayward and the Jones shot. And he gave up a double to the struggling Dan Uggla. So the Braves lead that one 3-0.
Yeah, the Braves starting play today, 4 games behind the Nationals.
Atlanta having won 4 straight. Nationals, of course, won last night.
Another well-pitched game by Jordan Zimmerman. And all of a sudden, Rich, he went 6 innings. All of a sudden, with Storen back, Storen, Burnett, and Clippard, those 3 guys each worked an inning to finish that game off.
So they had the band back together.
Yeah.
Carlos Quentin's popped out, bounced into a fielder's choice.
I don't think they have quite as many hits as the O'Flaherty Venters Kimbrell band.
That's another good one, and it comes from that, Atlanta area. A lot of good bands out of that area. REM up the road in Athens.
Up in Athens.
The 1-0. And it's outside. Josh Johnson not sharp. He's 2-0 to Carlos Quentin, and his pitch count has climbed all the way to 85. The Marlins bullpen starting to move about like someone's about to start throwing.
Yeah, this was a day I think we were all curious to see, number one, how Josh would respond and pitch after he had to leave that game after 6 innings. But after having such good stuff in that 6 innings, no walks, 9 strikeouts. But the finger problem seems to be fine. It's the command problem that's been an issue today.
The 2-1 breaking ball is swung on and missed. Two and 2. Nationals have a 1-0 lead over Milwaukee, bottom first in Milwaukee. Steve Lombardozzi led off the ball game with a home run. It's a Gio Gonzalez start. Well, the Padre hitters, give them credit. They've done a nice job of not chasing the sliders out of the zone. And so with a count 3-2, you would expect Chase Headley will be on the move with 1 out. Off he goes. Taken for ball 4.
That looked like a pretty good pitch. Sometimes a catcher popping up like that to make a throw blocks out an umpire, but We'll have to take a look at Fox Tracks and see where this pitch was.
I'm guessing it's in. That looks like it was right down the plate. It is.
It was a strike.
Pitch 6. So it has not been a great afternoon for Vic Carapazza behind the plate. That's a strike.
You're just asking for long games if you make calls like that. And he's missed a few today. You know, you were talking about Steve Lombardozzi with that home run. He's really done a nice job ever since Ian Desmond went on the disabled list. Espinosa moved over to play short for the Nationals. Lombardozzi, who was kind of spot starting in the outfield, infield, he's moved in at second base, and he's done a nice job.
Randy St. Clair out there. 2 walks here in the 5th. Marlins bullpen, still no one throwing, but a lot of guys getting loose and looking like they're ready to throw.
6 walks ties a career high. JJ walked 6 Toronto Blue Jays back in June of '06.
Wow. And now you got a guy that, even though he's 0 for 2, has hammered Miami this year. Yonder Alonso. Misses away, and it's 2-0. Two 2-0 San Diego, and Josh Johnson struggling here in the 5th. Fastball got in on Alonso.
And struggling and behind in the count to a hot hitter. I say that hot, especially against the Marlins. Alonso came into this game, he had about an 0 for 20 going.
Even though he's 0 for 2 in this one, he's 13 for 30 against Miami. Johnson looking for a ground ball. Three and one. Headley the runner at second, Quinton the runner at first. Elevated a fastball and it's popped up. Reyes is out. In comes Solano, and Reyes makes the catch. 2 outs. Time for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stat. Jose Reyes, most home runs in a month in his career, 7. That's back in '06, and he's got 5 here in 2012 in the month of July. Marlins are counting on Reyes. You can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results.
Remember, Jose Reyes went a long time before he connected for his first home run of the year.
Vanderbilt, little inside out swing. Reyes leading Bonifacio. Good thing Bonifacio's fast. He got to the bag just in time.
Toyota.
Back in Miami. Subway fifth, 2-0. Padres on top of the Marlins. Cookie and Raul will join us now. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Richie, Tommy, how are you?
What are the Marlins going to do to score runs right now? Because they look flat. Clayton Richard looks sharp, and Josh Johnson does not.
I think some of these dogs, some of the dogs at the park today. It's been rough. And JJ, his demeanor on the mound, you can tell he's just laboring through this performance.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen him this wild, getting so many bases on ball, and we haven't had any opportunity really to bring in any runs. And they score one without a base hit. I mean, it's tough for us to score some runs, really.
Donnie Murphy, a broken bat roller. Headley, solid third baseman, makes the play, and Richard has an out on his first pitch. Do either of you guys have dogs at home?
Oh, yes. Cookie, do you have any?
No, I pass.
I have two at home. A mini pincher named Yoda and a pug named Sandy.
Nice. Do they get along?
Oh, yeah. They're like best friends now.
Very nice.
My dog Yoda, when I got married, wasn't a big fan of my wife, and now they're like best friends as well.
That's always important.
Hey, Raul, can either of them hit?
No, unfortunately. I wish.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Good luck the rest of the way.
You too, and have a nice trip.
Have a safe trip.
All right, thanks.
Brett Hayes is up. He drilled a single to center his first time up, and Richard misses down low. Scott Cousins is on deck, so it looks like the end of the line for Josh Johnson.
Well, he's at 95 pitches, and he's really labored just about every inning.
Richard catches the corner and gets a strike.
Outwardly, in speaking with JJ, even made some comments with Craig yesterday. The fact that his name's been thrown around out there in trade rumors, he appears to say that it hasn't bothered him, but you always wonder.
Hayes swings and misses at a good changeup, which ran away from him. And so here comes Cousins with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. Single game tickets on sale for the inaugural season here in Marlins Park. You can choose your seats, pick up single game garage parking passes, and print it all from the comfort of your home or office. Everything is just a few clicks away. So head to Marlins.com for that.
One of the perils of a short bench with the roster at 24 is that, well, I'll say the roster's the same, but more pitchers, is that all the hitters are left-handed except for John Buck. So against a left-handed pitcher, Ozzie has no choice. He has to send up a left-handed hitter.
And you're reluctant to bring Buck in the ball game because if an injury happens, you got to lean on a position player to hop behind the plate.
And remember when Gabby was here, Gabby was always the emergency catcher. Not sure who would fill that role now. Maybe Donnie Murphy.
Maybe Donovan Solano. I don't know if Austin Kearns has ever caught. Bonifacio probably could. Carlos Lee would do a nice job of blocking balls in the dirt by just laying over, rolling over. Other than that, we'll have to dig deeper, see who that emergency catcher is. Cousins back to the mound. Richard snatches it and flips to first. And just like that, the Marlins are done in the 5th. Clayton Richard is rolling right now. Got a 3-hit shutout going.
The team basically took the decision away from him, but it has been an injury nagging him all year.
So frustrating. Just not even be able to run like I want to, much less, hit and play defense. So it's sucks.
You think
I want to be out there with the guys and battle with them, even though we're probably not going anywhere. But maybe next year will be a full healthy year, ready to go.
No surgery yet, but it certainly sounded like, listening to Logan, that he sort of expects us going down that road. Perhaps he's played his last game of 2012. For now, though, they're going to just stay off it, see how he feels. If it is pain-free, he does hope to be back, but understands that the option might be surgery and out for the season. Basically, guys, he re-aggravated the same injury he had surgery on last off-season, and it's just been a problem. He said it hasn't even been 80% this year, but it's taken a while here, late July, and it has been a problem for the Marlins to make a decision on this. He's not a .230 hitter, and hopefully he'll get healthy, no matter whether it's this year or, as you said, Tommy, earlier, get it done and be healthy and ready to go next February for spring training.
All right, thank you, Craig. That's of concern, certainly, for the Marlins. And Morrison is a big piece of the puzzle that the Marlins are trying to reassemble. The puzzle that they put in place in 2012 did not work. I don't think there's any question about that. And the Marlins, as they look towards 2013 and try to say, okay, you've got Giancarlo Stanton in right field, you've got Emilio Bonifacio and Jose Reyes up the middle. Can you count on Logan Morrison as being your first baseman? Or if you find a bat and that guy is a first baseman, is Morrison your left fielder? You'd rather go into spring training with answers rather than questions.
Our crack staff uncovering a great number. The Marlins' opening day outfield of Logan Morrison, Bonifacio, and Stanton played just 23 games together.
John Baker lashes one to left. Bake's had two good swings in this ball game, and he's 0 for 3. He hit that smash that was an error by Reyes, and that one on a line. So Bake's swing looks like it's in tune. Bake, one of the rare catchers that you hear undergo Tommy John surgery. It's added more life to his fastball. A little sharper breaking ball now for Bake. Forsythe lined out, walked. LeBlanc throws a strike. When things opened today in the big leagues, in the National League in particular, the Pittsburgh Pirates are trying to stay up with the red-hot Cincinnati Reds. The Reds have won 9 in a row, and the Pirates have won 4 in a row. Pittsburgh is 2 back.
The Reds are doing a lot of this damage without Joey Votto, who's been on the disabled list.
The Reds are 20 over at 60 and 40. The Pirates are scoreless right now with Houston in the bottom of the third. Pirates at 58 and 42.
How about the Astros? The Astros have lost 12 in a row. I think something like 23 out of 25.
And I think that's the real fear about Miami, about the Marlins, is that the Marlins all of a sudden don't hit a patch like that, and instead of 7 or 8 under, find themselves 17 or 18 under. Because if they don't start playing better, they're going to find themselves in that vicinity. They've lost 18, or rather, they've lost 13 of their last 16. And going into last night, they were 9 under, which was the low point of the season. Good pitch by LeBlanc. Jammed him, picks it up, flips to first in time to get Forsythe.
Well, and as you've talked about the upcoming road trip, the teams that they'll be playing are all teams in the division that are ahead of them.
Here's Clayton Richard now, who has struck out and has the sacrifice fly. That one fouled back, and it's 0-1. American League, Baltimore off to a 4-0 start against Oakland in Baltimore, trying to slow down Oakland's great July. Ball and a strike to Richard. Shane Victorino is homered, but Atlanta has a 3-1 lead over the Phillies, top 5. Jason Hayward, Chipper Jones with solo homers for the Braves. Night games tonight. The White Sox in Texas, and Boston back at Yankee Stadium to face the Yankees. Swing and a miss. Dug out by Hayes, flips it down to first in time, and the inning is over. A nice 1-2-3-6 for Wade LeBlanc. Padres and Pooches. Bark at the Park, Kids Sunday in Miami. Look at the folks we've got working, along with Allison Williams, Jeff Conine, Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, and our crack staff, including departing statistician, guru, and baseball historian Scott Hopkins. Rich Waltz with you. The dog would like some of that cotton candy, please.
I don't know if the kid's willing to share.
Marlins would like just a run right now. Top of the order against Clayton Richard here in the 6th. Bonifacio, Solano, and Reyes.
Talking about the Marlins and not trying to get buried too much. The Marlins are 9-14 in July. The Padres are 14-9.
It'll be their first winning month since August of 2010. Richards out in front 1-2. Bonifacio has not sniffed first base. He's struck out and bounced back to the mound.
On Bark at the Park Day, there hasn't been a whole lot of sniffing of first base.
Oh, there's the dog with the mohawk. Allison Williams getting ready for that
Oh,
interview.
the red-orange mohawk.
The
Wow.
red-orange mohawk. A liner into right field. There's a base hit. See, there you go. I think you show a dog, you get a hit. Maybe that's the pattern. Let's go up to Allison Williams.
I think that that might help because this is a good-looking dog right here. Check out Daisy rocking the Marlins orange mohawk. Is this a special game day look?
No, the mohawk is an everyday look, and the orange is for the game, though.
And that's not where it stops, guys. Also, the tail is dyed.
The pom-pom.
And what else?
Her nails are painted, the Marlins blue, and then she's got her orange bandana and her Marlins jersey, of course.
I mean, this dog has got it all going on. One of the biggest Marlins fans here, apparently. Is she enjoying Bark at the Park?
Yeah, she's just chilling here and sitting next to me in the chair, laying down, watching the game.
She looks good, though. How long did it take for her to get ready for the game? These are the questions I have to ask, guys. Sorry.
20 minutes. My dad was rushing.
But the mohawk is a staple, but it's orange especially for today, right?
Yep.
Very cool. Good-looking dogs up here. We got another dog in the back. Where'd the hat go? We had a cap on him earlier. Where's the hat? Rich and Tommy, I know you guys love the baseball hat. So lots of handkerchiefs up here, dogs with hats. There we go. Can we put it on? There you go. You got the Marlins baseball cap on them. Some good-looking pups, guys.
That's a good look. And, you know, if Solano gets a hit, we'll be showing dogs the rest of the game. Because Bonifacio responded with a single to right. Richards now at 2-1. All the proceeds from the dog tickets, which were $10 a piece, go to the Humane Society. Solano fouls it back to the screen. Two runs on just 2 hits for the Padres, but Josh Johnson with a career-high 6 walks did not help himself, and he was gone after 5 innings.
You know, there have been a few games during this poor stretch where the Marlins have actually out-hit the opposition, but haven't been able to bring runs home.
Solano twice has bounced to the left side, to short and to third. And he's run the count deep at 3-2. You don't want to get picked off here. Fly ball right center field. Venable and Kotze. And Venable makes the catch. JM Lexus always resets the ball game for us, so let's do it with them. The #1 Lexus dealer in the world, 20 years running. Jose Reyes has not extended his hit streak, and Josh Johnson tying a career high with the 6 walks, though he did give up just 1 earned run, and his ERA actually goes down to 4.04. So Reyes now sitting on a 15-game streak. Carlos Lee is on deck.
Yeah, we talked about Reyes, a career high 20-game hitting streak, but looking to extend 15 to number 16 today.
Just in perusing the scoreboard, the Astros have scored first against the Pirates. Andrew McCutchen not in the lineup for the Pirates. Starling Marte getting the start in center field. McCutchen having a terrific year. Very much one of the top players in the league and a favorite for MVP.
Marte hit that home run. This is a very inconsistent strike zone, by the way. Vic Carapaza. One of those was a strike.
Reyes, just for a little extra measure, kind of looks outside. There's a strike. And the count full now at 3-2. Bonifacio away from first. 3-2 coming. Reyes lines it in the gap, right center field. Venable's not going to get there. Bonifacio off to the races. Reyes around first. Stops there. Good throw by Venable. Reyes would have been out. And Bonifacio and Reyes now at the corners. You can see both trying to fire the ball club up, both glaring into the dugout for the Marlins, trying to get some people going.
Good job. Hitting streak goes to 16 now for Jose Reyes. And he does a good job. Big turn, very aggressive turn, because he's thinking about 2. But he saw Venable get over, cut it off, and make a strong throw to second base.
So Reyes at first, Bonifacio at third, and here's Lee, who bounced to second and doubled to right center.
Jose Reyes, Rich, during his 16-game streak is 20 for 60, 333.
Richard twice now has gone over to first. And Bud Black, I don't think, likes what he sees. He's coming out to the mound. Well, maybe it's another dog shot, another base hit by Reyes. All My Sons Moving presents the poll question today. What do you think about Nathan Eovaldi's Marlins debut? Better than expected, 67%. About what you expected, 33%. I think to vote M3, you would have to have, what, a 3-hit shutout? I mean, come on. Bud Black, in all likelihood, told Clayton Richard, throw over to first a few times so Dale Thayer can warm up.
Yeah, you know, part of me is saying that Bud Black wasn't sure if he was going to take him out when he went out there. But the other part, I think he just wanted to give Thayer a little more time, throw a few more pitches in the bullpen. Marlins saw Thayer in the game, the first game of this series, worked an inning.
Lee goes after the first pitch, drives it to center. Venable is there. Makes the catch. Both runners tag. Scoring is Bonifacio. And Carlos Lee produces a run with a sacrifice fly. That was a professional at bat. He got a pitch up. He knew he could drive it, and he drove it to center.
There's that fastball up, trying to stay middle of the field. Now your running game changes a little bit with Richard out of the game.
Yeah, and down a run with 2 outs, you want Reyes in scoring position, so early in this count you expect him to be on the move. They are a long wait with Ruggiano up.
There's a pretty good list, Rich, of active players with sacrifice flies. Carlos Lee's 3rd on the list amongst active players. 93 sac flies. A-Rod is number 1 with 98.
Reyes is running. It's a pitch out. Baker's throw not nearly in time. Ball skips into center field. Reyes is up, got tangled up. Venable's throw to third is not in time. Wow, that was fun. Reyes stole second. Went headlong into Logan Forsythe. Got untangled. And then barreled into third.
So many times we talk about the runner picking up the ball right away. There's the headlong slide. He started to reach around asking for time, thinking that the ball was caught. Then he picked up the ball and got over to third base. Watch how Reyes turns. Right there he's going to call and ask for time, but the ball is still in center field.
Time called. Thayer started his delivery. Reyes, you know, the only way he knew the ball was in center field is when he asked for time and the umpire didn't grant it. Because then he knew, well, wait a minute, if I'm not getting time out, that means the ball's still in play and still rolling around. So Reyes is 90 feet away. Ruggiano takes a fastball for a strike that counts 1-1.
Anyway, number 2 on that active list of sacrifice flies, Chipper Jones, 96.
A walk. Ruggiano flied to right his last time up. Drives it to center. Base hit. Tie game. Ruggiano comes through. And it's 2-2. Boy, nice to see the Marlins doing a lot of things in this inning that they've been unable to do all afternoon.
Boy, some high fastballs have hurt Thayer. One a sac fly, and this with a big base hit that ties the game.
Now Kearns, and don't be surprised if Ruggiano is running early in this at bat. He was leaning, and he almost got picked off. Another throw over. Of course, you've got a catcher behind the plate in John Baker that's had Tommy John surgery.
Been a rough year for Bake. 2 for 30. And throwing out runners.
Thayer really didn't give him much of a chance on that pitch out either. Kearns takes a strike. Counts 0-1. Kearns singled in the second, bounced to short in the fourth. Murphy's on deck.
So just like that, any chance for Clayton Richard to pick up a win is gone. Both runs charged to Richard.
And Josh Johnson's off the hook for the loss. Ruggiano leaning and running. Low pitch, high throw. Again, Baker had no shot. Thayer was not quick to the plate. And any breaking ball that's low and away is almost impossible for a catcher to really get a good ball to throw on.
That's a great shot to see the kind of jump that Ruggiano was able to get.
So he's in scoring position. And they count now 2-1. The obligatory dog shot. Our director Jim Hawley creating a rally here out of nothing. And it all started with just the first rally dog we saw. Maybe the rally dog was the dog with the mohawk.
Yeah, the red-orange mohawk.
They're going to walk Kearns to get to Murphy. And so Donnie Murphy comes up in a big spot now. He is bounced into a double play and bounced to third. Ruggiano at second. Kearns at first. Oh, and 1. Thayer has faced 3 hitters. Sac fly, RBI single, and a walk. Murphy drives it right field deep. Kotze back over his head and off the wall. Ruggiano scores. Here comes Kearns. Here comes a throw. He scores. Donnie Bleepin Murphy's back.
Boy, what a beautiful sight that was. The one thing, Rich, that has always amazed me about Donnie Murphy is the pop that he generates from his bat and swing. For a guy who's not a huge guy. And this ball really fooled Kotze. He hit it well. I don't think Kotze would have got it anyway. But to the opposite field, driving it over the head of Mark Kotze. In his time with the ball club here, Murphy has 7 hits. 5 have been for extra bases. A couple of home runs, 2 doubles, and a triple.
And that's a triple. And it's 4-2. So Miami busts out with 4 runs here in the bottom of the 6th. Hayes up with Murphy at third. And Thayer misses down low. The Padres bullpen has been a key part of their really good July. 17 games coming into this one. The bullpen had allowed just 7 runs, and that was a 1.33 ERA.
Where the rally dogs have come through.
Hayes a ground ball to third. In time, inning over. But Miami gets 4. They knock Clayton Richard out of the game. They get 2 off the bullpen, and Donnie Murphy, a hero. Today is brought to you by Blue Bell Creameries. Try our newest flavor, strawberry summer pie. Donnie Murphy with a 2-run triple. 4-2, Miami on top of San Diego. And now the Marlins bullpen trying to protect this lead and get a win for Wade LeBlanc.
Well, we saw last night, Rich, we saw Mujica, Dunn, and Cishek finish things off. And now again, Ozzie dips into that bullpen, starts things with Mike Dunn here in the 7th inning.
LeBlanc works just 1 inning in relief of Josh Johnson. JJ 5 innings, 1 earned run. That sounds good, but he walked a career high 6, and he labored in his 5 innings. But he kept the ball game close, and now the Marlins have an opportunity with a 2-run lead.
Ozzie looking over the lineup card. He's got Amarista, the left-handed hitter. Kotze's due up, but it looks like Bud Black has Chris Denorfia in the on-deck circle, a right-handed hitter.
Then you got the switch hitter Headley, and then Carlos Quinton. So a 4-2 game. A lot of things happen in that inning. Reyes extends his hit streak to 16 games. Carlos Lee drives in another run. Dunn gets a strike to open up the Amarista at bat. Breaking ball pop foul and out of play. Clayton Richard 5 1/3, 5 hits. He's charged with 2 runs. He cannot get the loss here because Dale Thayer is charged with the other 2 runs in his 2/3 of an inning. So Thayer is in line for the loss. LeBlanc the win. But there's a lot of baseball to be played and a long way to go. And Amarista swings and misses. Let's freeze something on this hot summer afternoon. Of course, light 6th inning. Some great defense. Yes, Yonder Alonso at first. That was the dive. He would get up and flip it to Clayton Richard to get Reyes by a step. Coors Light freeze can.
Made a couple of nice picks as well. He's had a nice game defensively.
All right, here's Denorfia in Kotze's spot. And Dunn misses up with a fastball.
Padres bench in a little better shape than the Marlins bench as far as numbers.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Marlins roster looks like in a week. If they're heavy in the bullpen.
It'll be interesting to see what it looks like tomorrow. Of course, when you have double headers coming up, you do like to have that extra pitcher. We've seen that happen a few times over the years.
And there's no off day until next Monday in New York. And from now until Monday, Miami's going to play 8 games in 7 days. To right, Kearns is there, and Austin makes the catch. Austin Kearns looks like a guy that's going to see some more playing time now as well. Kearns, Ruggiano.
Kearns with a base hit, a walk. He scored a run today. Yeah, he's going to be in there against lefties.
Here comes Headley. I think Headley is a nice piece. If somebody's looking for a third baseman, we talk about what Petco Park does to offensive numbers. Headley hitting at almost 270 right now, 267. But he's always been a high on base percentage guy. He's walked twice in this ball game. Of course, the Padres probably feel the same way about him, that he is a nice piece and may want to keep him. The Dodgers obviously no longer in the market for a third baseman. Oakland has talked about looking for a third baseman. Headley would fit in. He profiles into that Oakland lineup nicely. His on-base percentage over 360. And he's very good defensively. He's not flashy, but very steady.
Who's Oakland been playing Brandon Inge at third base.
Dunn gets that breaking ball over for a strike. See, that would be one that you don't have to sell to the umpire. Well, when you go down that quickly like that, there's no doubt.
See, he's wearing that guard. It doesn't go up high enough. It actually got him up on the leg above that shin guard. He's going to have to get an extension.
He's going to have some new drawers as well. Look at that left knee on his pant leg. It's just torn to bits.
Well, he's been on base 3 times. A couple of walks, a single, a stolen base.
Look at that thing. And you can see that knee's already been patched a few times by the equipment manager.
Those are his favorite pants.
Yes.
I guarantee.
He's blown through those a few times. Edward Mujica ready. Done. Has looked good here in the 7th. Needs another out to get it to the 7th inning stretch. 4-2 Miami. Marlins rallying for 4 in the 6th. That ball's hit and headed up to the upper deck. That's a long ways up there. Nice play. Now they had no idea they'd ever get a ball up there. Even Ozzie was surprised. Last night's 4 runs versus the Padres ended a club record tying streak of 9 consecutive games scoring 3 runs or less. I got lost right in the middle of that. I gotta be honest with you. Kern's over for it there, and he makes the catch. And Mike Dunn on 1-2-3-7. 6th inning. The Rally Dogs got the Marlins started on Bark at the Park Day. 4 runs in that 6th, 4-2 lead, 7th inning stretch. It's also a Kid Sunday, and this is a Tommy's Tips. This one has nothing to do with cotton candy or Mountain Dew. It has to do with
almost a lost art, bunting. Notice how Reyes gets the ball out toward the end of the bat. That softens it, that deadens it a little. He wants to get it near the line. This was that little slap bunt that he was able to slap past Chipper Jones. He saw Chipper cheating coming in a little bit. That's a little more advanced. Maybe not for the 10 to 12-year-olds, but that's a play that we've seen Reyes and Bonifacio pull off with a lot of success.
Jose Reyes' drink of choice, coconut water.
He talked about that when we were in St. Louis, when the weather was over 100 degrees.
A lot of guys drink that instead of Gatorade. Chris DeNorfia is in right field. You saw Brian Peterson take that pitch. Peterson hitting here as he leads off the 7th. Top of the order, Bonifacio and Solano to follow. Big breaking ball from Thayer for a strike. And Dale Thayer stays out there.
When you have just 4 men on your bench, which is what Ozzy's working with, you really have to pick your spots. And I mean, he's thinking innings ahead. You don't want to use a Greg Dobbs until the right situation. You want to really pick the right spot.
Peterson almost hit by that pitch. The count's 2-2. Well, Ozzy's already used Scott Cousins as a pinch hitter in this spot. He bounced out in the 5th, and here's Peterson. 2-2 coming. Back to the screen, and it stays at 2-2. 4 runs, 7 hits for Miami. All of the runs and 4 of the hits came in that 6th inning. The biggest of which was the 2-run triple by Donnie Murphy. Jose Reyes had a base hit, which extended his hit streak to 16 games. Peterson checks his swing. Count runs full at 3-2. Phillies have drawn closer to the Braves, 3-2 Atlanta. Bottom 6 in Atlanta. Mets play Arizona tonight. Fastball misses away. Peterson trots down to first.
How about the night Mike Davis had for the Mets in Arizona last night? He had 4 hits, 3 of them home runs. Not too often does a hitter hit 3 home runs and his team loses 6-3.
That his hometown, right? Isn't he a Scottsdale guy?
Yeah.
Arizona State product. Nationals are trailing the Brewers 3-1, bottom 4. Bonifacio now, you got good speed out there with Peterson. And of course Bonifacio can bunt, although the Marlins have not done a real good job of bunting in this series. They popped a couple up last night. Josh Johnson struck out trying to bunt earlier in this game. Peterson has those rolled up batting gloves in his left hand. That's a reminder for guys when they slide not to drag that hand. Bonifacio hit that one pretty well. Back goes Venable deep into center field, and he makes the catch. Going away just shy of the track. You could hear that one off the bat. Good solid contact.
Oh, Venable is one of those I don't think he plays center field the way Cameron Maben has, but he glides out there, got a good jump, because that ball will fool a lot of outfielders because it was hit by
Here's Solano now. And we'll see if maybe Peterson's running. He's a good hit and run guy at the plate. Padres were up 2-0 after 4. They carried that lead into the 6th. Peterson runs. Solano hits down the line. Foul. That easily would have scored the run.
Yeah, I think Ozzie has found his favorite hit and run guy at the plate. Donovan Solano. He makes contact. We've seen him get a few hits on hit and runs.
Peterson bluffs, and it's in.
He can come back with a hit and run here. 1-1 pitch.
He's running. Taken for a strike, and Peterson steals it easily.
Just a great jump. Solano saw that all the way. Took the pitch even though it was a strike and allowed Peterson easily to get to second.
That one kicks away from Baker. And Peterson trots into third.
Boy, how sweet would this run be? To get it this way. Stolen base, a wild pitch.
Wild pitch, infield's in. Solano a good bunter. You never know. The Marlins might think about dropping one down. And he pulls it foul. Reyes on deck now that there's 2 strikes. You got Solano swinging away. He's bounced out twice. He's flied out. Peterson talking with Joe Espada.
I'll tell you what, if he had had 1 strike on him, I wouldn't have ruled out squeeze.
Ground ball short. Amarista looks the runner back, fires to first in time. As Peterson holds third. Reyes comes up. If you're coming to a ball game at Marlins Park, you want to experience the home run porch, maybe in the Fiesta Suites. There are a variety of affordable group packages. Marlins Park features air-conditioned comfort, great food options, premium group entertainment. 1-877 Marlins. Reyes in the box, ready to go. Thayer misses outside. Lee is on deck. Jose Reyes singled, stole a bag, scored a run. His hit streak now at 16 games. There does not look like an easy catch for John Baker right now.
Now with the delivery he has, the way he slings it, ball sinks, it runs.
Longest in the majors. We told you early in the telecast, Reyes' career high is 20. That's a foul ball. 2-2. Full count. You would think Thayer would want to face Reyes and not Carlos Lee.
One would think.
Lee has driven in a run with a sac fly and has doubled. Breaking ball. Reyes hits it in the air, left center. Venable there and makes the catch. Marlins lead Peterson at third. On to the 8th. Fish needs 6 outs. It's a 4-2 game. Trying to win this series for heading on the road to Atlanta. And you can follow the Marlins, whether they're going to Atlanta, to Washington, or to New York, on this road trip with MLB.com @BAT12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows mobile. Live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text @BAT 31826 @BAT 31826, or visit EdwardMujica.com. Well, not really. MLB.com or Marlins.com. Mujica is in the game.
Yeah, great job by Mujica in the ball game last night, inning and 2/3. The former San Diego Padre, and also staying in the game after pinch hitting, getting a stolen base. Brian Peterson. Peterson stays in the game and goes to left field.
Now, if you missed the news, Logan Morrison out with lingering issues with the knee, and Ryan Webb called back up, and so Webb is here. And the Marlins, and we talked about it on Marlins Live, Tommy. You and I spoke about short starts. Nathan Eovaldi last night, 5 1/3, 1 run. JJ's last start, 6 innings, a run. And the Marlins have been able to, by committee with the bullpen, keep the lead and save the ball game. So LeBlanc done. Now Mujica. And you would expect Steve Cishek, or who knows, maybe today's the day that Ozzie gives Heath Bell a test drive in the 9th inning. He's pitched very well. Though Cishek last night came in,
and he pitched very well too.
He pitched a scoreless 9th. Carlos Quinton, Yonder Alonso, Will Venable. A lot to do before the Fish get to that 9th inning. 1-1 pitch comes back nicely on the changeup for a strike. It's 1-2. Quinton pulls it in the hole and into left field for a base hit, and it's San Diego's first hit since the 3rd inning. That brings up Yonder Alonso. He is the tying run. Coors has a cold hard fact for you. Starting tomorrow, the Marlins will play 22 of their next 28 games on the road. Alonso an 0 for 3 on the afternoon. Four home runs. You see the damage he's done against the Marlins.
He got 10 hits against the Marlins this year.
And drives it right field deep. That's not coming back. That is up off the facing of the home run porch, and just like that, San Diego has tied the game. Yonder Alonso. The 305s do it again.
You know, it's amazing. You look at Alonso and you see the way he's built. You would expect a few more home runs, and I think that may come. It's just his 5th home run this year, but he gets it to that home run porch right off the railing. That ball was crushed, and he knew it.
And so Mojica in a little bit of shock right now. A single and a blast. And it's a 4-4 ball game.
It's the first home run the Padres have hit in this series.
Heath Bell getting loose. San Diego goes nearly 5 innings without a hit, and they get a single and a homer and tie the game. That's the 6th home run that Mojica has given up this year. This is his 41st appearance. Venable with the count 0-2. Now, as you talked about, the fact that the Marlins have such a short bench really comes into play. You get a tie game now, late innings. There's not a lot of wiggle room.
Well, right now, just Dobbs and Buck left on Ozzy's bench. He made the double switch to keep Peterson in the game. He's going to have to do that to try to work with the 4-man bench.
Yeah, Mojica right now sits in the 2 spot of the order. Carlos Lee, the cleanup hitter, is due to lead off in the bottom of the 8th. Venable fouls it back, and it's 1-2. Bark at the Park, successful, 485 dogs and 955 dog owners. And all the proceeds go to the Humane Society.
It's always one of our favorite days.
Well, he could get to strikeout. Venable swings and misses. And here comes John Baker.
Remember how we talked about it last night when Ozzy went to the bullpen. Mojica done. Cishek did the job after Nathan Eovaldi worked 5 1/3. Everything was pieced together just right. He had the same thought in this one.
Baker, another line drive. This one finds a home, though, in center field. Baker's hit it on the button 3 times. And now is 1 for 4. Ozzie Guillen's coming out, and he's got a hook with him. He's going to bring in Heath Bell to face his old ball club. Here comes Bell. 4-4 game. last weekend. John Baker gives us a look at one of the bouts.
A tough fight for Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader, great wrestler out of Arizona State, coming off a big win over Rampage Jackson. Lyoto Machida, former light heavyweight champion, karate stylist, the Karate Kid, very frustrating with his distance. I like Machida kind of outpointing him in that fight, frustrating the heck out of Bader, and taking a decision.
That's some good stuff right there.
I think there's a future for Bake. He could be a baseball analyst and he can be a UFC analyst. That's one of the 4 main bouts on that UFC card on Fox next Saturday. All right, back to the task at hand. Heath Bell in. Baker's at first. Logan Forsythe is up, and Bell misses down low. The Padres have come back to tie the game on Yonder Alonso's 2-run homer. Smack to left. Peterson is there, and Brian makes the catch. 2 outs. And the Padres,
looks like Yasmani Grandal is going to get his chance to swing the bat.
So they're bringing in their backup. Well, he's their starting catcher, but today he's backing up Baker. Grandal was 1 for 3 with a sacrifice fly and a base hit in yesterday's ball game. Bell with a breaking ball misses outside. In game 1 of the series, he had 2 hits and the biggest in that ball game, which was the 3-run triple. Nice feature on Marlins Live with Grandal going back to his high school. Hasn't done a whole lot of pinch hitting. Miami Springs High School. Couple years younger than Alonso.
Well, what a future he has. A switch hitting catcher who seems to really, from all accounts and all people we've talked to, doing a nice job handling the pitching staff, the mechanics of catching as well as hitting.
These guys both early first-round picks too, Grandal and Alonso. It took 2 305s and an Edinson Volquez to get a 9.54 out of it. Matt Latos from the Padres to the Reds. Fastball for a strike, 3-2 now. On the move, that one lined into the seats.
Yeah, it throws a little bit of an advantage toward the Padres' way with the 3-2 2-out pitch. Baker running, so he gets a little bit of a head start. Notice Carlos Lee well behind him and guarding the line.
Bell facing his former ball club. Of course, he started his career with the Mets. 3-2. Big breaking ball is high. And so he loses Grandal. Amarista, the leadoff hitter, who is 0 for 3.
Boy, that's the pitch he wanted to throw, 3-2 to Grandal.
Bud Black told us on Friday, we were talking about Bell, and he's really hadn't seen a lot of Bell this year. Did see him in San Diego where he blew a save. But he said that breaking ball is the whole key, at least in Black, having watched Bell through his 3 All-Star seasons and been his manager, in that he was able to throw that breaking ball at any time, even with 2 strikes, even 3-2. And he tried the 3-2 and missed.
He said he surprised him at times. He'd throw that breaking ball. Bud Black on the bench would be surprised.
See what he comes with. 0-2. Right on the outside corner, and strikes him out. Nicely done by Heath Bell. However, the San Diego Padres have tied it. Yonder Alonso up into the home run porch. 4-4 now. Our Toyota inside look. Been a busy day for Alonso.
Boy, it has, defensively and offensively. He's done a little bit of everything. Some great picks. How about a backhand pick on that throw from Amarista? Get some help right there. How about a stab up the line and then flip to the pitcher? Great range by Alonso to get Reyes. And then he picks, helps out his third baseman, Headley. Another pick. Not to mention the fact that Yonder Alonso tied this game with a 2-run shot in the 8th inning.
Well, the Padres have knotted it up. They had a 2-0 lead. Marlins tied it, then took the lead. Luke Gregerson is given the ball. He takes over for Dale Thayer. Thayer an inning and 2/3, 2 hits and 2 runs.
Gregerson, Rich, a guy who gets a lot of sink, mostly sinkers, good 2-seamers and sliders.
Leah Ruggiano Kearns. There's the sink. It's one of the things that Bud Black, since he's been in San Diego, has always been able to have. And you have to give him some of the credit because he's gone through a couple of general managers there. He's always seemed to have a really good bullpen.
Was it a couple of years ago? Mike Adams, a terrific setup man. Went on to the Texas Rangers.
Kevin Towers was the longtime general manager in San Diego, and he was very good at that. He now, of course, is the general manager of the Diamondbacks. 2-1. And Towers, though not as accomplished as Bud Black, a longtime Major League veteran and a world champion, Towers was a pitcher in the Padres organization. Gregerson is 2-2 on Lee. Didn't offer. 3-2. Ruggiano waits on deck. He delivered a big hit, an RBI single in the 6th. Lee a sac fly in that 6th inning. Amarista around it. High throw. Lee is safe. He got around the tag. Boy, he's a tough guy to miss. But somehow Carlos Lee escaped the tag. Now Bud Black is going to argue that either he was tagged or he went out of the...
I tell you, there have been some shaky throws from Amarista, who's probably more suited to play second. Well, I don't think he tagged him. The question for Bud Black, did he run on the line? But he's just moving to avoid the tag. No, it didn't look like Alonso got him.
Now he had established his baseline right on the baseline. He was running actually on the inside of the line, and then as he went around the tag, he was right on the edge of that runner's alley.
It's a great move by El Caballo, but it also tells us, because of Ozzy's situation with 4 guys on his bench, you can't pinch run for him.
So an E6.
Here you are in a tie game late in the game, and you cannot pinch run.
Gregerson trying to pick Lee off or keep him close, and Carlos, all he had to do was just pick his foot up and step on the bag. He did not have a big lead, and he doesn't have one now. Ruggiano swings and misses.
I like the way El Caballo put the brakes on and was able to get back to the bag.
That was not the Omar Infante matrix slide that we saw in Washington. There's the sinker from Gregerson, and Ruggiano misses again. It's 0-2.
Yeah, it's a tough guy to lift. If he has that sinker working, a tough pitch to lift and try to drive in the air.
Ruggiano, diving stop. Amarista gets the out at second. Wow. And there's your point. If the Marlins do have a pinch runner with speed, that might not be such an easy play at second.
As Amarista is diving for this, he knows his only chance is second base. He knows who the runner is at first, and he's able to, number one, pick the ball, completely lays out. He's in the air and then turns and gets the force at second.
That's a terrific play. Now you got Ruggiano at first, a threat to run with Kearns up, and Gregerson trying everything he can do to keep Ruggiano close. Ruggiano stole second in the 6th. Miami has stolen 4 bases in the ball, actually 3 bases in the ball game.
Yeah, Reyes, Ruggiano, and Peterson.
Kearns a little tapper up the line. Headley's throw across the diamond gets him. And so Ruggiano occupies second. Here comes Murphy. Murphy bounced into a double play, grounded at third, and a 2-run triple.
One of those at bats that Gregerson, if he wants, can be careful. He can try to make perfect pitches, and if he doesn't, First base is open, and he can go after Brett Hayes, who's on deck.
Murphy, center field. Venable veered right and now corrects himself and gets there for the line drive. Boy, Will Venable almost didn't get there. It's still 4-4. Road trip. That's where the Marlins are headed. You'll hear the drums outside of Turner Field. 4-gamer in Atlanta against the Braves. 4 games with a Friday doubleheader in our nation's capital. Possibly a Steven Strasburg start, a Bryce Harper sighting. And then on to New York. And in New York, David Wright and the Mets. A 3-game series. All games on Fox Sports Florida. Check your local listings for the start times and the appointed Shake Shack visits. 9th inning has arrived here. It's 4-4. It's the 9th. The Padres, the Marlins, the 305 boys have had a great series here. Yonder Alonso with a 2-run homer to tie things in the 8th. And so here is Cishek. Ozzie Guillen doesn't have a real deep bench. He's got, what, John Buck available?
John Buck and Greg Dobbs.
And his bullpen now has thinned out because he's gone deep there. Wade LeBlanc, Mike Dunn, Edward Mujica, Heath Bell, and here is Steve Cishek.
A little surprised we didn't see Bell go back out there. He did face 3 hitters when he came in. Got a couple of outs, did his job.
So Cishek gets Denorfia, who stayed in a swap when he came in to pinch hit. He came in Mark Kotze's spot. Then you get Chase Headley and Carlos Quentin. And then Alonso, if anybody gets on. Bonifacio picks up the roller, flips the lead. And here comes Headley. Well, of those 2 hitters, Buck and Dobbs, the Marlins may need one of the 2. Probably it would be Dobbs if, in the bottom of the 9th, Miami can get a runner aboard, because they've got Hayes, Peterson, and Bonifacio scheduled in the bottom of the 9th.
Like we said a few innings ago, as Ozzie was perusing his lineup card, he has to really pick the right spot. You don't want to waste one of those pinch hitters. You want to really try to pick the right spot so you can get him to swing the bat.
Headley fouls that one back to the screen. Headley's been on base 3 times, a couple walks and a single. Count full now at 3-2. Padres are going to Cincinnati for 4 games. Marlins are headed to Atlanta for 4 games. That ball knocked into right field. Kearns picks it up. Headley's aboard, and that means Quinton gets to hit with the runner on, and unless Cishek gets a double play, you've got another Yonder Alonso at bat. The Astros have sent third baseman Chris Johnson to the Diamondbacks. Oakland acquiring a catcher from the Brewers, George Kataris, today. No other earth-shaking moves. You wonder about the Phillies and when they will finally say, all right, let's make a deal. Let's sense a piece somewhere and see what they can get back.
You keep hearing Victorino's name tossed out there.
I see Hunter Pence's name out there too, and that's a head scratcher. He's got another year of arbitration left, though he did make, I want to say, $13 million this year out of arbitration. He's a really nice player, especially if they have him under control for another year. Pitch misses in. Would they trade one of their aces? Obviously not Hamels, they just signed him, but Halladay or Lee?
Well, Lee probably has the most value right now. Don't know if Halladay's 100%.
Left field, deep, Peterson, track, makes the catch. Runner tags, Headley on his way to second. Good throw, and safe. That's not an easy read for Chase Headley, playing in a ballpark that he hasn't seen a whole lot of, to know that that's not up against the wall or going out. He tagged and gets into second underneath the tag.
That was good play on his part. Once he realized that ball was going to be caught, then he went back to tag up, and it was a good throw by Brian Peterson. At the downside for the Marlins is that all of a sudden Headley's in scoring position, and Alonso's not going to see a pitch to hit.
No, the splits are pretty dramatic for Cishek, lefties and righties. Right-handed hitters hitting just $169 from the Yonder Alonso side of the plate. 297. You do have Venable on deck, but he's much less of a threat to hit one out. Marlins Live, brought to you by Checkers. No one at their post right now.
Are they still shaking hands, kissing babies? Look at the water being delivered to the.
Here's Venable now. Has struck out twice, walked, bounced out. Cishek with a breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-1.
Yeah, it's a little respect, you know, walking Alonso to get to another left-handed hitter.
You have another lefty after that. So Cishek's in there, and there's nobody throwing in the pen. The focus last night was on Hanley Ramirez going to the Dodgers and Nathan Eovaldi getting his first Marlins start, but lost in the shuffle and the headlines, Randy Choate, who would be very useful in a game like this. Eovaldi last night getting the win, just an earned run in 5 1/3. One, two. And it's fouled back. $27,000 here on a Sunday.
And over 400 dogs.
485 dogs. Just shy of 500. 954 dog owners in the park. Venable battling. 1 and 2. Turned into a good at bat for Venable. Count still at 1 and 2. In a game in which the Marlins had a lot of trouble mustering any offense against Clayton Richard. Finally, in the 6th inning, they got to Richard for 2 and his replacement Dale Thayer for 2 more and took a 4-2 lead. Yonder Alonso tied it with a 2-run homer in the 8th. Here we are in the 9th with Cishek trying to get Venable out. And Will keeps fouling pitches back. Houston Street with a minuscule ERA, another all-star appearance, and a new 2-year contract extension is in the bullpen. Breaking ball popped up out in the shallow center. Ruggiano's there and he makes the catch. So Cishek navigates a scoreless 9th. Bottom of the 9th, tie game. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. by Checkers. Feast on. And by Blue Bell Creameries. Try our newest flavor, strawberry summer pie.
Very fuel efficient there.
All I can do is just get myself into trouble if I go any further. It's 4-4. It's the bottom of the ninth. San Diego and Miami. Marlins trying to get someone on base to start this inning. And Brett Hayes will lead it off. Hayes singled in the third, struck out in the fifth, bounced out in the sixth inning. Luke Gregerson and his sinkers. Ooh, a breaking ball for a strike. Hayes turns around to talk to Vic Carapazza about that. And it was not a strike. Vic Carapazza has not had a good night.
No, he's not.
Day behind the plate.
And Brett Hayes knows that. He's been behind the plate.
Hayes lowers the bat head on that one and pulls it foul. It's 0-2. So it's Hayes. Peterson, remember, is in the 9 spot. Bonifacio in the leadoff at the top of the order. That's the trio against Gregerson to start this, the 9th. And Hayes swings and misses at a breaking ball. Tico standings coming into play today, with obviously on a Sunday everybody in action. 20 over are the Nationals. Marlins will see them on a trip. After they play 4 in Atlanta, they'll play 4 in D.C. and then go to New York for 3. Phillies are 15.5 back. Marlins trying to stay out of the cellar, catch the Mets. The Mets have a 2-0 lead over the Diamondbacks. That's in the first inning. Nationals are trailing the Brewers 4-2, bottom 6. And Atlanta's lead over the Phillies is 6-2, bottom 8. Here, a 4-4 game in the bottom of the 9th. And Brian Peterson takes a 1-0 breaking ball for a strike. Greg Dobbs is waiting. The pitcher's spot is 2 hitters away. As Tommy pointed out, it's Dobbs and Buck left on the bench. This is a ball game where you might see Carlos Zambrano as a pinch hitter. We've talked about it all year, that in a game like this, it might be Zambrano who gets in at bat. 10th, 11th inning, if that spot comes up again.
He certainly is on that list, at the top of the list as far as hitting.
Remember about 2 weeks ago when we had Javi Vasquez in the booth and we were showing highlights of Vasquez's last start in the big leagues. It was that complete game where he was brilliant in the rain, and Brian Peterson hit a walk-off home run to win it. 2-2. Grounder out to short. Amarista, wow, close. Peterson really hustled, and Amarista just got him.
Yeah, you watch Amarista and you see he has more of a second base arm. Bang, bang, just got him.
It was a good call, but a lot closer than you thought once the ball left the bat. Now Bonifacio singled in the 6th. Dobbs is on deck. Gregerson floats a off-speed pitch over for a strike. Bouncer into right, and so Bonifacio is aboard. Now the Marlins have run, and they've run with success. Remember, in the 9th inning, or rather in the 8th inning, we saw Yasmani Grandal as a pinch hitter. Bud Black kept John Baker in the game defensively, and so Bake is behind the plate. You've got Gregerson on the mound, and Bonifacio, who is by all accounts going to be running, and you would think early in the count in this at bat by Dobbs.
Yeah, you'd like to see it early to give Dobbs a chance to drive him in, and I would think they would pitch to Dobbs if Bonifacio is successful, because Reyes is on deck.
Bonifacio away from first. Gregerson to the plate, and he was slow to the plate.
Boy, the outfield very deep. They're trying to prevent a ball getting through to the gaps. So there's a lot of space.
That creates a lot of room.
Yeah, that creates a whole lot of room in the outfield.
There's the matchup. Let's see if he's running on this pitch. Three stolen bases in the ball game for Miami. And he's running. Huge jump. Easily steals it. I know Bake's not having the best of years of throwing, but neither is Grandal, and that's a reflection on the Padre pitchers. They have not kept base runners close at all.
Yeah, you know, you put some of it on the catchers, but a lot of it on the pitchers. If they're slow to the plate and you have quickness like Bonifacio, you're not going to give the catcher any chance at all.
Now you give Greg Dobbs a chance to win the ball game. The count is 2-0. The outfield decidedly different from the last shot we showed.
Yeah, they come in now a little bit.
About a little bit. They're in 30.
I can actually see Venable now in center field.
30, 40 feet each in. Lightning speed at second with Bonifacio. Dobbs ready. Here's the 2-0. Inside corner. A lot of movement on that pitch. And it's 2-1.
Greg Dobbs, rich in his career. A couple of walk-off hits. The last one was May 11th against the Mets.
Two-out single. And his 28th stolen base. That has Bonifacio at second. Baker's on his way out to talk. Well, you noted first base is open, but Reyes, a guy that's hot. He has a 16-game hit streak, which he extended with a single in the 6th.
Yeah, I think a lot of times you would rather pitch to the pinch hitter as opposed to the guy who's been in the game, had some at-bats. Reyes has extended his hitting streak with a base hit earlier to 16 games.
And Reyes has had a good month. He's homered 5 times in the month of July. Dobbs climbs back in with a count 2-1. Outfield shallow, as shallow as they can be, with Dobbs up there and Bonifacio away from second. And Dobbs pops it up behind the mound. 4 Padres converge, and it's caught by Forsythe. It's a good thing Amarista is 5'6". Forsythe outreached him for it. To the 10th we go. Lynx beef jerky. Feed your wild side. In Miami on this Sunday afternoon. Rich Watts along with Tommy Hutton, Allison Williams, Jeff Conine and Craig Minervini will be by with Marlins Live. If and when this ball game ends, Ryan Webb comes out of the bullpen. He becomes the 6th reliever to work for Miami.
A couple of things, Rich, in guys going down to AAA. We saw a little bit of it with Mike Dunn. And Ryan Webb went down and wasn't just used for 1 inning. Ryan Webb had 3 appearances. He worked 5 2/3 innings and had a nice 1.59 ERA. So he had to go down there and not just max effort 1 inning, go out there. He had to work a little bit. So you hope that works to his benefit on his return.
One of the interesting moments of the franchise on Showtime was when the Marlins sent Ryan Webb down. There was a meeting. The cameras were in the room with Larry Beinfest, along with Ozzie Guillen and Randy St. Clair. There's the Showtime guys. And they were talking about who to send down. They had to send down a reliever, and they decided it was Webb, and they brought Webb into the room. And the thing that St. Clair said was very telling. He said, look, you have the best stuff. Don't think he used that word, but you have the best stuff out of the bullpen. Your stuff's better than everyone's down there. You just have to be able to execute the pitches. And so go down and execute the pitches and get back up here. And here he is in the 10th facing John Baker, who rolls one foul.
Which just goes along with, we've had this conversation. And the Marlins aren't the only organization who do this. It's the nature of the game now. But in order to get better command, you have to pitch a little bit. You can't just go out there and pitch 1 inning. And so that's why I think when these guys go down and have to work more than 1 inning, it's to their benefit.
Baker, a liner to left. Peterson in, now back. Makes the catch. John Baker has sprayed line drives all over this park, and he has 1 hit to show for it.
Yeah, he's lined out to left twice. He hit a sharp ground ball on a hit and run that was booted by Jose Reyes at second base.
And he singled in the 8th. Brad Brock in the bullpen. Logan Forsythe now. Jesus Guzman is on deck. Bud Black still has the pitcher in the 9 spot despite a few substitutions. And Webb misses. It's 2-0 to Forsythe. That one pulled into the seats. The Fighting Pirates of Pittsburgh had a lead that has evaporated in Houston. The Astros have risen up and have a 6-2 lead over the Pirates now. It's in the top of the 7th inning. Jordan Schaefer with a home run. Garrett Jones is homered for the Pirates. Webb walks Forsythe. So here's Guzman. Now remember, the Padres are 2nd in baseball in stolen bases. The Marlins certainly have flashed their speed with 4 stolen bases in this ball game. Logan Forsythe, not one of their big volume base stealers. He has 3 bags this year. He's at first. Webb. The Mets 2-0 lead over Arizona is an R.A. Dickey start. Joe Saunders on the mound for the Diamondbacks. 2-0 top of the 2nd. Mets in Arizona. And Webb gets a visit from Brett Hayes. So the Marlins have used everybody but John Buck. They had a short bench to begin with.
Yeah, Bud Black has a couple of men left. He has Cameron Maben and Everett Cabrera left on his bench.
Webb trying to get the pinch hitter Guzman. And then Alexei Amarista is on deck. Forsythe is running on the pitch, hit and run, and it's popped foul and out of play. Nationals are trailing the Brewers 5-2, top 7 in Milwaukee. Doug Fister give it an early lead. And he never looked back. He hung in there, and the Tigers avoided a sweep, beat the Blue Jays 4-1 at Rogers Center. I was always curious to know why they changed the name of that ballpark. Obviously, the Rogers Communications
Yes.
Bought the team, bought the building, all that. But why not call it the Rogers Skydome? Why Rogers Center? Doesn't Skydome have a better ring to it?
Yeah, I like Rogers Skydome. That's a good call. We should let somebody know up there.
I mean, Rogers Center sounds like a train stop or a mall.
An arena. Yeah, it sounds like, I know it's a retractable dome.
Convention center.
Yeah. You were talking about that Washington-Milwaukee game. That was a Gio Gonzalez start. Milwaukee, 5 runs, 5 hits, and 6 innings off Gio.
Forsythe back in. All right, last foul ball. Let's see who's on their toes. Oh, very nice. Bobby Dorfman gave it to the youngster. Bobby, one of the indispensable members of the crack staff. Runner goes again, and it's fouled back to the screen. We had a variety of people over there, right? I mean, John Tuitu was down there. Bobby Dorfman was down there. I think Allison's down there as well. We had that ball surrounded.
Bobby's a good guy here who gave it over to the little fan that was clamoring for the foul ball. And that was the second one that came in the dugout. But I'm happy to say everybody is safe and sound and nobody got hurt.
Just stay behind John Tuitu. You'll be okay.
Forsythe's been moving a couple of times. Webb waiting too long for Guzman. This was ball number 1. Look at John Tuitu almost took a direct hit. Look at Bobby Dorfman. He didn't see that one. We need to get like a big glass shield for Tuitu. That's a dangerous spot. Runner goes. Pitches in. Throw down to second. Not in time. Is he off the bag? He was off the bag or not? Bonifacio followed him to the back of the bag, tried to sell it, but the second base umpire, Toby Basner, was right there on the call. Let's look. Stolen base for Forsythe.
Number 4 on the year. His hands on the bag. Let's see if he ever comes off.
Forsythe is pointing at the toe. Bonifacio was covering it with the glove. Now Webb has to get Guzman. Go ahead runs in scoring position, the 2-2.
Of course, Ryan Webb in 2010 had a very solid year with the Padres. Had an ERA at 2.90 in his 54 games working out of the bullpen.
Marlins had the winning run at second and couldn't score it. In the bottom of the ninth, here in the 10th, the Padres are runner at second and 1 out, and Webb misses. It's 3-2. Amarista is on deck. This is an example right now of what Randy St. Clair was talking about in that meeting, and that is great stuff, but you got to execute your pitches. Webb, a former Padre. Three-two coming. Little pop-up. Carlos Lee goes back, and he makes the catch.
It's a good pitch. 3-2 breaking ball. I don't think Guzman was expecting that.
That at bat took 7 minutes. 9 pitches, 7 minutes.
9 pitches, quite a few throws over to first base.
Foul balls.
Foul balls.
Runner moving. Marlins are going to put Amarista on. DeNorfia is the next hitter, and let Webb go after him.
It's been a tough day for Amarista. 3 strikeouts. He's 0 for 4. I don't know if you noticed this series, the number 48 patch on the sleeve of the San Diego Padre players. It's just in remembrance of their longtime bullpen coach, Darryl Ackerfelds, who passed away earlier this year.
And there's his jersey that hangs in the Padres bullpen.
11 years, their bullpen coach.
There's the 48. Intentional walk, first and second, 2 out, 10th inning. Webb now against DeNorfia. Breaking ball, strike 1. A ball and a strike. Chase Headley on deck. This was a 4-2 Marlin lead before Yonder Alonso pumped one into the home run porch in right field off of Edward Mujica. A 2-run shot in the 8th. And here the Marlins sit with the Padres 4-4 in the 10th. 2 Padres on, 2 outs. Top of the 10th. Webb with a good darting fastball. Caught a good chunk of the plate, and it's 2-2. Ryan's ready, and his 2-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ryan Webb to Chris DeNorfia. Little tapper wide of the mound. Murphy's throw not in time. Lee had come off the bag, conceding the play at first, wanting to make sure the ball didn't get by him. That would have been bang bang. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, he may have done this a little too soon. I know what his thinking is. I think he would have been safe. With the infield back, Murphy with a good effort, but Lee just wanted to make sure he kept it in front of him. But I don't know, it would have been close, but I think he would have beaten it.
It's tough to reconstruct that play because Lee is a good 3 or 4 feet in front of where he would have caught it had he stayed on the bag. As you watch the foot hit the bag and the ball hit the glove, you got to realize if he was back on the bag, that happens a few tenths of a second later.
And we've seen Carlos Lee a few times when he stretches out to receive a throw, he doesn't necessarily always stretch the glove out. The glove's more close to his body.
Yeah, see, I think he just asked Bonifacio what that about that play, how close it was. He's not an experienced first baseman, though he's made a nice transition from outfield to first base. And now Webb has to get one of the Padres' best hitters, Chase Headley. He's 2 for 3. So an infield hit for DeNorfia. Much like the Marlins, the Padres have been in a death struggle with runners in scoring position this year.
Well, these are the 2 worst teams in the league. When you get to that runners in scoring position category, unfortunately, the Marlins and the Padres are at the bottom.
A walk, an intentional walk, and an infield single. And it's Headley against Webb in a 4-4 game in the top of the 10th. And Webb misses. It's 2-1. Remember, Headley is one of the most disciplined hitters that the Padres have.
Came into the game with an on-base percentage near 360. He's been on base 4 times today. 2 walks, 2 singles.
56 walks this year, tops on the ball club. Hits that one in the air, out to center field. Ruggiano makes the catch, and the Padres leave them loaded in the 10th. Still 4-4. 4 at some point, sooner or later, Jeff Conine and Craig Minervini will be ready to go. See, the crowd that used to be around them some of them have gone home. Some of them have gone to get refreshments. Niner shook all the hands he could. It's all brought to you by Checkers. Padres haven't really gone as deep into their bullpen as Miami. Brad Brock comes on.
Yeah, Brock the other night, 2 innings. Gave up just 1 base hit, no runs. So this is the second time the Marlins have seen him.
Marlins looking for a base runner, and Jose Reyes is going to lead it off.
Where you get in this situation, this is the guy you'd like leading off an inning.
Reyes, and a fastball from Brock is a strike. Carlos Lee, Justin Ruggiano to follow. Brock bounces that one at the plate. The hit streak is at 16. A single took care of that in the 6th. Also stole a base. Reyes really helped ignite that rally. Sends that one into left center field. It's going to hang up, and it's in there for a hit, and Reyes turns first to second, and he's there with a double.
Boy, what a great effort by Jose Reyes. Never, ever hesitating. The only question, as you saw this ball blooped out to left, was Clinton going to get there? He short hops it, and then it gets by him, and as it gets by him, that's when Reyes turned on the burners around first base and got to second base.
He slid so hard he blew out his bling.
He's going hard right here. He picks up the ball, then he had to pick up the bag real quick and hung on to the bag.
Flew out the necklace. It's reattached, and here's Lee. So Lee, Ruggiano, and Kearns. Reyes at second. We'll see what kind of approach Lee has. Brad Brock misses away.
The Marlins this year have actually played pretty well in extra inning games, 7-3. Padres in extra innings 2 and 4.
They're going to walk Lee and pitch to Ruggiano. It shows up in little bits and pieces, but having a, we talked about a former pitcher as a manager. Instead of just walking him right away, Bud Black said, all right, throw one pitch, get it out of the zone, see if he fishes, and you get ahead.
He will swing at pitches that are out of the zone.
Right, and if you get ahead 0-1.
And we'll go another way. Yeah. Here's your decision if you're Ozzie Guillen. Nobody out. I think I know what I would want to see. I would want to see Ruggiano swing the bat. But if you had him bunt, let's say he were successful, just because you have a guy bunting doesn't mean he's always going to be successful. Now you have runners second and third, nobody out. They walk Kearns, and now you just get further down in the lineup. So I'd like to see Ruggiano swing the bat.
Reyes at second, Lee's at first. Let's see if he's bunting or swinging. Well, he certainly wasn't bunting. Baker had to block that one in the dirt, and it's 1-0. Ruggiano, RBI single, a 1-for-3 day. Joe Espada down at third base. The nice thing is Lee is not being held at the bag at first, and so he'll get a a good running start at second, whether it's a bunt or a double play grounder. He can either try to beat it on the bunt or break up the double play if he has a chance. Ruggiano swinging a miss. Had a good live fastball. 1-1. Brock misses away. He hasn't really been able to throw that secondary pitch for a strike in this inning.
This is where you think he's probably going to go back to that live fastball and keep it up in the zone. There it was.
Ruggiano missed it. 2-2. Four game. Reyes a leadoff double, an intentional walk to Carlos Lee. Ruggiano a piece of that one, and he sends it back up into the seats. Been an incredible 2-month run for Justin Ruggiano, and the big hits just continue to come. The home run in last night's win, an RBI single that put the Marlins ahead in the 6th inning of this one. Brock ready. 2-2 coming. Base hit, left field. Here comes Reyes. Here comes a throw. Ball game. The incredible ride of Justin Ruggiano continues.
And the big hits keep on coming. I think Gregerson was afraid, or Brock was afraid to go with that breaking ball. He'd had a little trouble with it. So he stayed with the fastball. That one was down a little bit more. And Ruggiano has had good swings. Big RBI earlier in the game. Gets one here.
It's a great look. Eduardo Perez with a big hug for Justin Ruggiano. Those two guys have spent an awful lot of time together. Perez has repeatedly praised Ruggiano, a guy that just wants to learn, has soaked up every bit of knowledge and has used it and run with it and continues to hit and hit and hit. His first career walk-off in the big leagues. Another big moment for Justin Ruggiano and a 5-4 win for the Marlins.